Welcome from beautiful Road America, America's National Park of Speed, as we've got the full day for you on the stream. Those of you joining us on the stream, welcome. We've got a beautiful day here in eastern Wisconsin, as this facility, as always, one of my favorites to visit. And I get the pleasure of working here multiple times throughout the course of the year, and I look forward to each and every one of them. My name's John Phippen, spokesman for Racing America, sitting alongside the announcer from Road America, Eric Miller. Eric, so great to have you on the stream, and we got a full day of practice qualifying and a couple races yet to go.
Great day to have you here. It's a beautiful Wisconsin day for those of you joining us on the stream. Blue skies, temperatures in the 50s right now, upper 50s. Going to get probably to the mid 70s by the time we get through the midday, early afternoon. But it is time to go qualifying for the FRP F-1600s.
1600s coming out of the false grid and making their way down the pit lane and onto the track for their one and only qualifying session. Their first heat race of the weekend coming up at 1:05 this afternoon. Looking at practice times yesterday, the biggest surprise is our points leader, Christian Muniz, has had a problematic weekend so far in the number 4. He's listed on the entry list with his normal Piper DL7 Honda, but on the entry list we're seeing that he has a Van Diemen there, and that car has been problematic as he has turned very few laps and none at speed. So Christian Muniz will be working his way through this qualifying session. Hopefully they've got those demons exercised overnight, and we'll see him in his customary place near the front of the field. But in practice yesterday, David Ibarra has been quickest in both sessions in the 06 car. David out of Louisville, Texas, in his Megala. Cooper Travis, second fastest in the number 17. He's out of Matthews, North Carolina. He's in a Spectrum 1600. David Adorno is our lead Masters driver based on practice times yesterday. He's in the number 33. David out of Richmond, New York in another Megala. Then Jake Leroy, one of the two Leroys in the field. Jake in the number 3 from Easton, Pennsylvania in his Megala. Then David Livingston, another of our Masters drivers, was 5th in second practice yesterday in the 85 car. David out of Nashville for racing a Spectrum. Boss Patel in the number 6. Next in the order, Boss out of Calgary, Alberta. He's in one of the Piper DL7 Hondas. Axel Leroy, the other Leroy brother, in the number 75 out of Easton, Pennsylvania. He's also in a Megala. Then we've got Bob Reed, another of our Masters drivers, in the 12. Bob out of Millbrook, New York, driving a Spectrum. Jack Haydu is in car number 8. Jack out of Chagrin Falls, Ohio, up near Cleveland. He's in a 1998 Van Diemen. Then we've got another of our Masters drivers. That is Greg Peluso in the 03. Greg out of Beaver, Pennsylvania in a Megala. Phil Kingham, another Masters driver in the blue number 47 out of Dexter, Michigan in a Spectrum. And then Christian Muniz, as we said, the F-1600 points leader, stranded back in 12th position. We'll see if Christian has got that car sorted for today's qualifying session, which will set the grid for the first heat race, as we mentioned, coming up at 1:05. Christian Muniz is the points leader. Boss Patel in second. Cooper Travis third amongst the F-1600 drivers. Our Masters champion is, or Masters points leader, I should say, not champion, is Scott Rebenzer. But we've not seen Scott on track yet this weekend, so we'll see if he shows up for this qualifying session. And the cars coming by, and no, Rebenzer is not in the field, so David Livingston will be the highest placed Masters driver in the points battle. He is tied with David Adorno for 6th position, both of them here this weekend. Phil Kingham first one across the line as they set off on their first flying lap for this qualifying session. 25 minutes the time on this session, so these drivers will have to get with the program early on in the cool of the morning. As Eric said, temperature is just above the 60-degree mark now. But looking for great weather today and tomorrow. There's some chance for some showers into the evening tomorrow evening, and we're hoping that it holds off until we get packed. It seems like every race we go to, Lime Rock, Mid-Ohio, Indianapolis, the skies open up on Sunday afternoon just as we have to get packed up and head on to our next location. So we're hoping for a dry loadout for today, or for tomorrow, should we say. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Axel and Jake Leroy have yet to come across the line. David Ibarra and David Livingston also yet to complete their first lap. Lap times yesterday, David Ybarra at 2:22.112 was his quickest time. Cooper Travis about a second behind at a 23 flat. David Adorno at a 23.6 as our lead Masters driver in yesterday's practice. Jake Leroy at a 24.4, so begins to spread out a little bit from the top. But David Ybarra has been atop both practice sessions, so we'll see how that shakes out when it really counts here in qualifying. First one across the line is the number 75 of Axel Leroy, as they delayed just a little bit. Adorno, Ybarra, and Livingston have yet to come across the stripe to set off on their first flying lap. These F-1600 cars, you'll look forward to the race coming up at 1:05 this afternoon. Always put on some of the best shows of all of our Formula classes here this weekend. These cars, Formula Fords, basically no wings, narrower tires, strictly all down to mechanical grip, and drafting is extremely important in this class. So you're going to see pack racing for these 1600s, just as we see now, as we got 4 cars coming across in a bunch. David Livingston firing the first shot in this session with a 2:27 flat. And again, that's about 3 seconds off the pace we'll see once these cars get up to temperature. As the 06 coming down the pit lane, David Ybarra, as he has making his way down the pit lane. David Adorno there as well. David Livingston completing 2 laps, but has yet to turn a representative time. He's still in the 2:27s thereabouts. But Bob Reed with the early pace here in the number 12. But again, more pace to come after a lap or two. These are long laps here at this 4-mile facility. One of the heroic race courses in the world, and certainly one of my favorites here in this country. As Greg Beluso in the 03 comes by to set off on a flyer. He is currently 8th quickest at a 27.3. As we mentioned, local driver Scott Rebenzer from Brookfield, Wisconsin. Not in the field, was on the entry list, but has not shown up on the any of the practice sessions so far. So it looks like Scott not able to make the trip here to Elkhart Lake. Robert Gross, another driver out of Washington Township, Michigan, in his Piper, number 62. We haven't seen Robert on the track yet this weekend as well. Bob Reed, Axel Roy, and Phil Kingham, your top 3. Boss Patel, Cooper Travis, and Christian Moniz. Christian looks like he's finally got that car working, as he's up to 7th quickest after just 2 laps, a 2:31.3. His best lap in practice yesterday, a 2:56 and some change, as that car definitely not cooperating, but it looks like they may have gotten the issue solved. David Livingston and Cooper Travis continue to show the way as the time's beginning to come down now. 2:24.9 for Livingston, as the leading driver is one of our Masters competitors. Cooper Travis at a 25.2, just about a quarter of a second behind Livingston. Cooper Travis at a 25.2. Then we've got Bob Reed, another of our Masters drivers, at a 26.1. Phil Kingham, another Masters, at a 2:26.5. As you can see, these drivers are beginning to line up, looking for a little drafting opportunity. Climbing the hill up under the Corvette Bridge into turn 6. David Livingston may have a transponder issue. He has not been scored with a lap. Either that or he's serving a penalty that I'm not aware of, as they have dropped him down to the bottom of the order in 14th position. Even though he turned a 24.9 on the last lap, maybe he was being scored manually. And if that's the case, if the transponder's not working, he will not be scored officially in this session. Pack of cars working their way through Thunder Valley and the Bill Mitchell Bend. David Ybarra, who was quickest in practice yesterday, rolling down the pit lane in the number 06. Several Magalas in the field. Jake Leroy, Greg Peluso, David Adorno, Axel Leroy, all in Magalas. Magala recently acquired by Ligier, so the new Magalas are all rebadged as Ligiers. Cooper Travis still shown as the quickest driver out at a 2:25.239. Still about 3 seconds off the pace we saw yesterday afternoon. Boss Patel just about 0.6 of a second back at a 25.6. Bob Reed at a 25.9. Another 1/10.5 behind Boss Patel. Phil Kingham, another of our Masters drivers, just about half second behind Bob Reed. Axel Leroy, about a second and some change behind Phil Kingham in 6th spot. Jake Leroy right behind him, about 2.5 seconds behind him. So the field kind of spread out behind our leaders. Jack Haydu, only 0.03 of a second behind Jake Leroy, so that's the battle for 7th and 8th. Adorno jumps up into 2nd spot now in the number 33. He's about a half a second off Cooper Travis, who still has the quick time of this session, but he's narrowed that down to about 0.4 of a second between those two. Then Boss Patel, Bob Reed, Phil Kingham, Axel Leroy, Jake Leroy, Jack Haydu, and Christian Moniz, your top 10. Moniz once again off the pace. He turned a 2:31.3 on lap 2, but the last lap he was at 2:44 and some change. So perhaps an intermittent issue of some kind affecting that car, not sure. Or maybe he's just taking his time to get up to speed, not sure. Greg Peluso, David Ybarra, who was quickest in yesterday's session, all the way back in 12th position right now. So we'll look for Ybarra to find some pace here. His laps have been in the four-minute range as he made a call to the pits a lap ago. And then David Livingston down in 14th position. This pack of cars coming by 3 wide. It's Phil Kingham sets the fast time at a 2:24.156. Then Boss Patel. Then David Livingston shown in 3rd spot. We'll see if he stays there or if timing moves him down the order once again. Cooper Travis now 4th. David Adorno in 5th. And again, David Ybarra, who was quickest yesterday, in 12th position right now in the 06. And yeah, Livingston once again shuffled to the back, so he must be serving a penalty of some sort. Phil Kingham at a 2:24.156, now the fastest car on track. Just about 0.2 in front of Boss Patel in the 6th car. Another 0.8 back to Cooper Travis, followed by David Adorno in the number 33, another half second back. Bob Reed in a dead heat with Adorno's, those two Masters drivers. Phil Kingham, the fastest of the Masters, fastest of anybody right now, but Adorno and Reed, those two Masters drivers separated by 0.05 of a second. Axel Leroy just behind them in 6th position, about 0.6 further back. Jake Leroy about a 1.5 behind Axel. And then 2.5 seconds back to Jack Haydu in the number 8. Moniz still down in 10th position. His best lap at 2:31.3. He has only turned 3 laps in this session so far. He and Ybarra both a couple laps behind the rest of the field, who are working on race lap number 6 of this session. And we're coming just past the halfway point of this 25-minute session. We've got about 14 minutes gone, so just a little over 10 minutes still remaining. Kingham's 2:24.156 still stands as the provisional pole time. Boss Patel second to him by about 0.2 of a second. Jake Leroy improves his time. He's now third quick at a 24.8. Bob Reed at a 25.3 is sixth quick. Axel Leroy also improves, a 25.7. That puts him in 8th. David Ibarra finally uncorking some pace here in the 06 car, a 2:27.4 on his 4th lap. TA Sprint Practice is next on the agenda. They'll take the track at 8:35, about 15 minutes from now. So attention in the paddock. First call to the grid. 15-minute warning for Trans Am Sprint. Trans Am Sprint, this is your 15-minute call to the grid, please. Phil Kingham quickest on the track right now with the provisional pole, a 2:24.156. Kingham 17th on the points table coming into this weekend. He did not race in the first round at Road Atlanta, but had a pretty successful weekend, a podium finish just off the podium, looks like, in one of the races at Mid-Ohio. Boss Patel, second on the road in this session, second in the points table behind Maniz. Competed at both Road Atlanta and Mid-Ohio, with a win and a fastest lap in a couple of races, one each at Road Atlanta and one at Mid-Ohio. Patel, like I said, showing some good pace. David Adorno, one of the top drivers in the Masters competition here, third in the points amongst the Masters, tied with David Livingston for second, actually, in the points. Scott Rubenzer, who's not here this weekend, is the Masters leader coming into this third race meeting. David Livingston, again, shuffled down to the bottom of the order after each pass-by start-finish, so Livingston destined to start from the back, it appears. Phil Kingham goes a little quicker as he breaks into the 23s, a 2:23.684 for the number 47. Boss Patel stays in second spot, about 0.6 back at a 24.3. David Adorno, second amongst the Masters, inside of row 2 provisionally at a 24.8, about half a second behind Patel. Jake Leroy outside of row 2 provisionally, only 0.05 of a second behind Adorno. David Ibarra again finding pace, turns his best lap of the session at a 24.9. As again, he was quickest in the 2 practice sessions yesterday. He's only 0.08 of a second behind Jake Leroy. Cooper Travis, who was at the top of the order just a couple laps ago, now back in 7th. As his best lap, a 25.2, about a quarter of a second behind David Ibarra. Bob Reed, another of our Masters drivers in the 12 in Spectrum, just about a 10th behind Travis, and then Axel Leroy and Jack Haydu rounding out the top 10. Christian Maniz still suffering back in 11th position. Greg Peluso also down the order a bit. Peluso, one of our Masters drivers in the 03. His last lap was his best at a 2:32.8. That's a couple seconds quicker than his best lap in practice yesterday. So Peluso finding a little more pace here. But the 85 of David Livingston at the back. As Kingham setting the pace here from the front with about 5 minutes remaining in this session at a 23.6. It's about a second and a tenth off our best time from yesterday's. David Ibarra turned a 2:22.1 in his Magala in yesterday's session, but again, cooler temperatures this morning. The engines like it, making a little more horsepower, but the track probably a little slippy based on those cool track temperatures. A little tougher to get the temperature into these Hoosier tires for these drivers. Cooper Travis now takes over the top spot as he comes by in a bunch. 2:22.467. That's the first car into the 22s. So Cooper Travis, who was second quick yesterday, has eclipsed his time for practice yesterday by about a half a second. So in the closing minutes of this session, Cooper Travis breaking into the 2:22s. Phil Kingham now second quick, but almost a second and 2/10 back. David Ibarra also finding pace here as he moves up to third with a 24 flat in the Magala, number 06. He's only 3/10 behind Kingham. Boss Patel fourth, David Adorno in the fifth spot. Jake Leroy, Axel Leroy, Bob Reed, Jack Haydu, your top 10. The 4 of Maniz, the 03 of Peluso, and the 85 of Livingston in 11th, 12th, and 13th, respectively. Checkered flag in the hand of the starter. As the cars will be coming to the line for their final flying lap. There's the 33 of David Adorno. His last lap was his best, a 2:24.4, but that puts him fifth right now inside of row 3. There's the 03 of Greg Peluso. No improvement for Greg. The 8 of Jack Haydu comes by. His last lap was his best, a 29.3, but that's only good for 10th position. So far, nobody has anything for Cooper Travis, almost a second out in front of the rest of the field. But we've still got plenty of cars yet to come by the timing line here. There's the 3 of Jake Leroy. David Livingston in a bunch. Ibarra gets a little closer to Cooper Travis, a 23.3 on his last lap. But again, a full second off his best pace from yesterday. Cooper Travis actually quicker than he was yesterday as Phil Kingham rolls to a stop in the pit lane just in front of our commentary position. He's going to start third inside of row 2 and the lead Masters driver. So unofficially, again, pending review by the stewards of the meeting, Cooper Travis will start on the pole in the number 17. David Ibarra will start second in the 06. In row 2, we'll have the 47 of Phil Kingham and the 6 of Boss Patel. In row 3, the Masters driver David Adorno and the 12 of Bob Reed, another Masters driver. In row 4, the Leroys, Axel on the inside in the 75 and Jake on the outside in the number 3. Jack Haydu and Christian Maniz will share row 5 with Greg Peluso and David Livingston starting at the back. Next up, TA Sprint Practice coming up next. Be sure to stop by Styled Aesthetic merchandise trailer set up in the paddock. At the halfway point of the 2026 racing season, perhaps it's time to freshen up your Racing America swag or support your favorite series. Stop by the Racing America merchandise trailer to check out the new collection of hats, t-shirts, and sweatshirts. In addition, orders can be placed and shipped worldwide on their website at styledaesthetic.com. Gearhead Coffee is built on passion and supports enthusiast-driven experiences that connect car culture, motorsports, and passionate communities nationwide. Gearhead Coffee's mission is to serve this amazing industry one cup at a time, fueling memorable experiences both on and off the track. For more information or to place an order, visit gearheadcoffee.com. Gearhead Coffee is the presenting sponsor of the Hagerty Cars and Caffeine Car Show, powered by Gearhead Coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cube 3 Architecture Trans Am TA2 Pro and Pro-Am Series. Nationally recognized for architecture, interiors, and planning, Cube 3 proudly returns as the title sponsor for the 2026 Trans Am TA2 racing season. From designing dynamic spaces across the country to fueling performance on the track, Cube 3 brings creativity, precision, and passion to everything they do. Cube 3, architecture, interiors, planning, where design innovation meets racing passion.
The Earth is 70% water and 30% land. But the entire sky belongs to us. Copy that. Aim high, Airman.
Buckle up to get fueled by Mission as classic rides and tasty products team up on the track to fuel your flavor. Fully loaded tacos, fast wraps, piled high nachos. Whatever you crave, Mission will help you be race ready with easy to make recipes that will take your race day to the finish line. Keep your racing delicious and enjoy all the mouth-watering action. Brought to you by Mission Foods. Too fast, too tasty.
Spark Ops Metalworks, the official metal fabricator of Road America. Our collapsible containers easily transport 8 at a time on a single flatbed from shop to site. Our product is designed to be set up quickly within hours. They are portable, stackable, compact, and sustainable structures. They're not just quick to set up and easy to transport. They're robust and reliable, built to withstand the demands of construction sites or marketing activations. Visit our website at sparkopsmetalworks.com to inquire.
American workers and American factories fuel our economy and drive us all forward. WeatherTech is proud to design, engineer, and build our products right here in the USA. Enjoy this great American race weekend. UEMSI HTV is the official sewer inspection camera provider for Road America. Since its inception in 1989, Jackson, Wisconsin's very own UEMSI HTV has become the world's largest distributor of sewer cleaning hose and proud manufacturer of hydro excavation, pipeline maintenance, and sewer inspection equipment. Whether it be vacuum tubing, washdown guns, high-pressure swivels, or the all-new U sewer pipeline inspection camera, you'll find them in stock and ready to ship today. For more information, visit UEMSIHTV.com. Quick Trip is a proud partner of Road America and your official convenience store of summer racing in Wisconsin. They carry all of your favorite cookout and tailgate grocery items like brats, burgers, steaks, chops, salads, soda, beer, and more. Quick Trip has you covered when you're on the go. Plus, you can find no-fee ATMs, free air for your tires, and the freshest fuel for your vehicles. Quick Trip. We'll see you next time. Raw horsepower, incredible speed, responsive handling. Why let the racers on the track have all the fun? With a zero-turn riding mower from Skag Power Equipment, you can experience these things too right at home on your own lawn. And no matter how big or small your yard is, Skag is a mower that's just right for you. To learn more about the full line of high-performance, American-made lawn mowers from Skag, be sure to check out skag.com. That's SCAG.com. People can't stop screaming about Screamin' Sicilian frozen pizza. And it's no wonder. There's plenty to scream about. Buttery stone-fired crust, secret recipe sauce, mounds of whole milk mozzarella, and tons of premium toppings. Taste what all this screaming is about by finding Screamin' Sicilian Pizza in your local grocer's freezer. Welcome race fans from all over the world. Lakeside Pepsi, proud to be the official soft drink sponsor of Road America. Quench your thirst with assorted Pepsi products available at all of our concession stands. And don't forget to preserve your hearing and keep your hearing safe. Soundhouse, the official hearing safety partner of Road America. You can visit Soundhouse next to the paddock shop or one of the vending machines here at the track for your hearing safety gear. Soundhouse, preserve your hearing. About a minute or so away from getting back underway with another practice session here for TA Sprint. It's coming up at 8:35, so about 2 minutes away. Don't forget, shuttle flags are available at all of the major concession stands as well as corner options. Just look for the shuttle flags for pickup and drop-off locations that take about 10 to 15 minutes or so to come around. So if you arrive to the shuttle flag right after you missed one, don't worry about it. We'll be right around to pick you up and get you where you need to go. Paddock shop open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on this Saturday. Also tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. as well at America's National Park of Speed. Hope you're enjoying your early morning here of the 60th anniversary season of Trans Am here at America's National Park of Speed. Practice on the way next.
Here come the cars for the first official practice session. We had some testing sessions yesterday for our Trans Am Sprint Series. We've got 8 cars on the entry list, as we had many of them out at the track yesterday. We've got 6 out here at the moment, as Christina Lamb has had kind of a troubled weekend. Joining me in the booth for this is Ben Sissel. Ben, welcome back, my friend.
Yeah, the car you see out there in the lead, this is what we call a hardship lap. She's had, if you follow her on social media, she's had a rough go of it yesterday. And so what we're doing is we're giving her what's called an out and an in. So she gets to go out there, run through her gears, hit the brakes, make sure that everything works for her race tomorrow, and also for her practice and qualifying sessions today. And we try to do that to be accommodating. Like we saw David Pinteric last weekend at Indy. He had a rough go of it one day, and they worked through the night replacing things on the car. And we want to make sure when they take the start or practice or qualifying that it's safe. So Christina's going out there and just kind of shaking it down, while the TA Sprint cars go out on track and kind of do like their warm-up lap. But we try to do that to be accommodating when we can, in hopes that now she feels comfortable in the car. She can tell her crew if there's anything that needs to be fixed. And she's supposed to just go out and then come right back in. But the great thing about Road America is you could really shake it down and figure out what the car feels like.
Well, yeah, it's a 4-mile lap, so there's plenty of opportunity to get the car up to temperature and make sure everything is working by the end of that lap. Yellow flags, of course, shown around the circuit as the cars come out on their out lap, just so everybody takes it easy. But you can see some of these drivers weaving back and forth, getting some temperature into these Pirelli slicks, as these TA Sprint cars are basically Trans Am 2 cars, and this is kind of an entry-level class introduced on the West Coast a year ago, and then it's now a nationwide series this year. They've got a limited schedule. We've got a doubleheader here this weekend, and then we'll wrap it up at Watkins Glen. But this is kind of an entry-level series again, Ben, an opportunity for drivers to not make the full commitment to a Trans Am Series season, but to take a shorter race. They're about half the length of a regular 75-minute or 100-mile Trans Am race, and get a chance for these drivers to get their feet wet and dip a toe into the waters here at the Trans Am Series.
The TA2 platform is so popular.
Yep.
Everybody loves it. It's kind of based on a late model chassis. We have 3 different chassis builders, and the TA2 series, the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 series, has become so competitive that the point of entry for a lot of people might be very intimidating.
Yeah.
So this is a good way for these drivers to kind of dip their toes in. Now, it is funny because Bruce Raymond, the number 54, who's out there right now, and Brad McAllister have both run in the either TA2 Pro-Am or in the TA2 Pro. Brad McAllister ran here a few years ago. I think he finished 4th overall in TA2 Pro. Bruce Raymond has come up runner-up in 2 TA2 Pro-Ams, one time to Sam Mayer, so you can't feel real bad about that.
Yeah, no question.
But it's a great way. John Atwell's a longtime competitor in TA2, so it's a great way for these drivers just to kind of dip their toe. Jim Guthrie, a IndyCar driver,
Yep.
won an Indy race at Phoenix. So a lot of these guys aren't new to racing. They're just maybe new to this platform, and they're wanting to see if maybe they want to move up into either the Pro-Am or the Pro Series.
Jim Gallagher also on the entry list, although he's not out in this session. Was kind of a late addition to the entry list. Tim Carroll, another driver with some experience on the entry list. Nazolkovsky, the Ukrainian driver, currently living in North Carolina.
And he was racing in the Pro-Am last weekend at Indy. Yep. So this is, like you said, a little bit more limited of a schedule, but it's its own championship. And we saw at Sebring, it also gets very competitive. And like as you see right now, we only have 7 cars on track, but we expect by next year maybe 12, 15. Then after that, we might have fields like we do in TA2.
Exactly. John Atwell, the points leader, taking his win at Sebring. Bruce Raymond finishing second at Sebring. Jim Lebeco, not here with us this weekend, was on the podium. Rob Kakpowicz in the number 27, currently second fastest in this practice session, took the 4th place honors in our first race at Sebring. So we'll see how this shakes out here as these drivers, their first official practice. They had a couple test sessions yesterday. Brad McAllister was quickest in the number 24 Periodontal Associates Ford Mustang. A 2:13.186 was his best lap, and he was second and some change faster than Jim Gallagher in the number 16 Regulator Cope Race Cars Ford Mustang. And then another couple seconds back to Jim Guthrie in the number 8 out of Albuquerque in the Guthrie's Garage SLR M1 Race Cars Camaro. Bruce Raymond was 4th quickest in yesterday's test session in the Sublimate Technologies Mustang. John Atwell, the points leader, was back in 5th in the 02 in the XRC DFW Concrete A&J Lab Portal Ford Mustang. And Nazolkovsky rounding out the field in the number 18 in the Team SLR Race Cars, M1 Race Cars Chevy Camaro.
And I misspoke about Christina Lamb. There she's going in, but I think they were giving her a couple of laps just because this is a practice and they really want to make her feel comfortable as we see the 02 go by of John Atwell, and you can see a big for sale sign on the rear fender of that car.
Atwell coming by, currently in a 5th position as he's making a run through the pits. There's Christina Lamb coming back in after her hardship lap. Jim Guthrie taking the early pace here. Again, this is a practice session, not a qualifying. They'll qualify later this afternoon, as we'll see them at 12:30. Right after the lunch break for their qualifying session, and then they'll have their first race, first of 2 this weekend, at the end of the day today, starting at 5:20. Those of you who may have been keeping track of the schedule, that's a late schedule change. That was made just before the weekend started. That race was scheduled to be at the end of the day Sunday, but we moved it to the end of the day Saturday to make the loadout just a little bit better. Again, we're hoping that we have a dry loadout, Ben, as we've been soaked for the last 3 races.
Yeah, we had 2 in a row. The loadout, and especially this one, Indy wasn't so important because we were coming right here. You don't want to put in these tents and these banners and flags and the canopies
soaking wet
in a hot truck this summer, and they mold.
Yeah.
So it saves us a lot of effort if we can not have to load out. We've got about 3 weeks before our next one.
Right.
And in those 3 weeks, you can grow a lot of things on tents and canopies in a hot truck.
Exactly right. Take some Wisconsin algae with you to our next race meeting at Watkins Glen.
And like I said last weekend, we were at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which is a fantastic facility. But Road America, I think, with the Trans Am Series, I was a huge fan of the Trans Am Series back in the 90s, and some just fantastic races here and some championships decided. But, we went from a track that was kind of billiard smooth but no elevation,
right,
to now a track that is also smooth with the new pavement, but it has all kinds of elevation, very challenging. I've never met a driver that says, oh, I have Road America figured out.
Yeah. And just about every driver says it's one of their favorite places, and especially in these the 900 horsepower Trans Am cars. What a better place to showcase all of that go power under the hood than here at Road America, with all these long straightaways and then sweeping turns linking those together. as we look at the timetable now, and Brad McAllister back to the top as he was in practice yesterday, a 2:15. 4.87 for his best lap. Jim Guthrie second. He was third in practice yesterday. He's second on the road in this one, just about a second and 3/10 behind, but it's early days. We're only on our third flying lap. Bruce Raymond in the third spot. Rob Kakbrooks in the number 27 is fourth. Nazolkowski fifth. John Atwell, the points leader, back in sixth. Christina Lamb, again, doing a hardship lap as headed into the paddock, so she's not as a part of this group. So Atwell at the back right now as the points leader, but I expect he won't stay there.
And this battle right here with Bruce Raymond, this is quite a good battle. He's got a Team SLR car right behind him. Maria, Bruce Raymond's, I guess, crew chief. There's a little pass there going into 8. Now, remember, this is just practice. But Bruce Raymond, who's run with us in Trans Am, he was our Group 10 champion years ago in SVRA in a beautiful Pontiac Firebird. But if Tom here, our camera operator, could get a good shot of the eyes, he's got snake eyes. See that? Perfect. Right there. Right on cue, Tom. I love that. Maria put these snake eyes on the headlights probably about 5-6 years ago, and I kept commenting on it on TV, and that just kind of became the thing, and it really does stand out. Like, instead of headlights, because they are just stickers, she put snake eyes on there. And then I don't know if you've met her. She's Mandy Crazy Pants on Facebook. Her name's Maria, and I've been calling her Mandy for years. But she has 2 great dogs. One of them named Killer, and they've become kind of the Trans Am mascots when they're in our paddock.
That's awesome.
Because this is supposed to be fun. Sometimes I kind of feel like I have to remind people, and maybe it's because I kind of come from the SVRA vintage racing side, but, you know, this is supposed to be fun. Nobody gets into racing to grow up and be an adult. So I love that. And, you know, I don't know how Jim Farley would feel about that on the front of his Mustang. But, you know, even he as a racer, I think he would like that. See that intimidating, the snake eyes there. Thank you, Tom. That looked awesome.
Jim Guthrie is the silver car that he's battling right now. Guthrie.
Oh, that's Guthrie in front of him. Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, Guthrie's Garage SLR M1 Race Cars machine out of Albuquerque. Second to Brad McAllister by just about 3 seconds. And then Bruce Raymond, another couple seconds behind Jim, and then Kakbrooks about 2 seconds behind Raymond. Olszkowski about 6 seconds behind Kakbrooks. So the field really was spread out. And again, John Atwell has only turned 2 laps and has not yet turned a representative time. So we'll see what happens with John as he comes back out in this session, or perhaps they're chasing a gremlin in that number 02
Maybe
car.
they found a buyer.
Yeah.
But John Atwell, very good driver. He's been in a TA2 series about as long as I have, which is about 2015, 2016. Great driver. Like you said, the points leader, had a great run at Sebring.
Beautiful shot here of the cars coming down through kettle bottoms, trees on either side of the race course, the long shadows of the morning sun here.
I believe we're following Brad McAllister now. Is that the 2-4 car? 02.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's Atwell.
John Atwell.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can see that he does have a for sale sign on that. And what a great, the TA2 platform, what a great platform. I have to give my hats off to Chaz Howe, you know, and the Howe family, long time in racing. But he kind of saw a niche. And I came into Trans Am when the TA2 series, the first time I saw it was, I think, 2012, 2013. They were still running a lot of stock cars.
Right.
And Chaz kind of perfected this. Ooh.
Whoa, sideways for Atwell. And did he keep it off the barrier? If so, that is the save of the day, man. And he is sitting on the racetrack just right on top of the tire rack tunnel, basically. But he just carried a little too much speed. I mean, on his first flying lap, he went from last to second. So he's clearly pushing it. And but yeah, he's got it pointed the right direction and is back underway. But that was a massive save, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and we see this a lot. You almost overcorrect the save, and then you can go back into the inside wall there. So a great save from Atwell. I'm sure he's going to kind of see if he can shake that down. That might have flat spotted those
I was going to say, yeah,
tires.
he's got square tires on all 4 corners right now, I think. So he's probably going to make a call to the pits for a fresh set of Pirellis.
but we were talking about Chaz Howe, and then Cope Race Cars out of Florida came in, and they started building a chassis. So we have 3 different chassis manufacturers in the TA2 series. We have M1 out of St. Augustine, and then Cope Race Cars and Howe. They're all super competitive. Just this season on Winner's Circle in the Pro Series, we've had an M1, a Howe, and a Cope on the podium, 1, 2, 3. I love seeing that. We have Ford, Chevy. We haven't had any Mopars this year in TA2. No, that's not true. Thomas Merrill ran a Mopar in TA2. I love seeing that. And then last year we introduced the Toyota bodies, and that's been a lot of fun. I think we have 2 different engines with K-Tech and PME. So it's great to have that. So it's a very competitive spec series. It's funny for me being an MG person. I was talking to one of the guys in the Team SLR garage today, and he said, you know, these low horsepower cars, 550 horsepower, you call that a low horsepower car to somebody that drives a 67 Mini Cooper that might have 80 horsepower. I'm like, I've never heard of 550 horsepower being considered low horsepower. But it's such a great platform, a very agreeable car to drive. The parts are readily available, and all of the chassis manufacturers give support. Like I know Chaz Howe, to anybody that has a Howe chassis that signed up for the event, he sends out like setup suggestions and all these things. And he's out of Michigan, and I heard that 3 teams, so the LaPaglia team, the Silver Hair team, and the Fast Auto team all went up to his shop between Indy and here and did their repairs there.
Nice.
And Chaz and Charlie, his son, and his daughters were able to help out with all those repairs. And you know, if you know Chaz, he's always willing to lend a hand. But he was telling me yesterday, he's like, I live in a town of 2 restaurants, so they were kind of hurting for what they're doing for food, you know, things like that. It's neat little stories.
Yep, exactly right. Atwell does indeed come into the pits after that spin at turn 1.
And surely he's got some, like you said, some Pirelli square P0s. They don't come like that from the factory.
Not normally, no. If they do, you send them back, basically.
But he found his edge there at Cube 3, turn 1. And I see Brad McAllister into the pits. And Brad McAllister, one of my favorite drivers, really always running for the championship early on when we started the Western Series. Like I said, he came out here, and I think he finished overall 4th here at Road America. He does the runoffs here a lot. He's running an SCCA GT2, which you see a lot of these TA2 cars can run. They can also run an SVRA Group 10. But just a ever-growing platform. And John, you know, being the Mid-Ohio announcer, you've seen some fantastic TA2 races over the years.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the TA2 series has just exploded in popularity. We've got over 30 cars here this weekend. We had a big field down at Indianapolis at our last race meeting as well, and it's just exploded in popularity. And it's the, you know, the entry level series for a lot of our young drivers. More than half the field are rookies, so it's the way that they can get into it, and the path to NASCAR is well documented, as we've had a number of drivers use this TA2 series and the Trans Am series in some cases for the opportunity to hone their road course chops, as these drivers coming up, doing oval racing, and they really need to get some road course experience. And this chassis is a perfect example. Like you say, it's just like a late model basically, and it's a perfect opportunity for these drivers to hone their road course racing ability. And so it's become extraordinarily popular, and thanks to Cube 3 Architecture and all the great things they have done for the TA2 series. But it is definitely a must-watch series. Looking at the times, Brad McAllister is still in the lead. He just came into the pits after turning a 2:13.3 just the lap before. John Atwell, despite his flat-spotted tires, is still second quick by about a quarter of a second. Jim Guthrie in the 8 is now third. He's about 3 seconds off the pace of the top 2. Bruce Raymond in the blue number 54, about a second and a half behind Guthrie. Kakbarik's another 6/10 behind in 5th. Nasolkovsky about 6 seconds behind Kakbarik's. So the 6 cars that have turned time so far in this session.
And while we were at Indy last weekend, we were watching the San Diego race, and you were talking about the development series and kind of the ladder. I think I counted at one point 5 of the top 8 all came through or spent some time in the TA2 series. The ARCA race last night, I want to congratulate Nitro Motorsports because two of our competitors this season and last season, Mia Lovell, I think she finished, I think she got fastest lap finish second. Sam Corey, who was just with us in the National Series up until Sonoma this year, is now with ARCA, with Nitro, and won the race. And, you know, started on the pole, won the race. Fantastic. I went over there this morning and just congratulated everybody because it's so great to see. We spend every weekend with these drivers. They become close friends. And all we want is for our friends to live out their dreams. And it's so cool to see people like Thomas Annunziata, Connor Zillage, Brent Cruz, Mia Lovell. We were watching, Lee told us today that he was watching Kaylee Bryson in the, what do they call the snowball, the whatever's happening right now in the sprint car series. And she was doing really well. So it's just so cool to see our friends living their dream. And I texted Sam Corey this morning that I was just so proud of him because he's such a great person, such a great racer. I know great things are going to come for him, and it's been really fun to see.
About 20 minutes gone in this session. It's scheduled to last until 9 o'clock, and it's coming up on 5 till right now. We're on Central Time here for those of you watching us on the stream.
I need to talk to Jim Guthrie. So last year, his sponsor, Guthrie's Garage, was on Mike Skeen's car with Team SLR and M1, and Mike Skeen obviously did really well in that car. And I wonder if that was kind of like a trade-off. Hey, remember last year I helped you guys out with Mike Skeen? Like, what can we do for this TA Sprints? And we're also going to see him in the TA Cup series on Sunday. So Jim Guthrie getting a lot of time out there.
Five minutes remaining in the session, according to timing and scoring. McAllister and Atwell on the front row. John Atwell just rolled down the pit lane. Brad McAllister did a couple laps ago, so both of them pretty happy with their practice times. And again, this is a practice session. It doesn't count for anything other than to make sure that the car is in good shape and getting ready for qualifying coming up later today. And their first race at the end of the day today. Jim Guthrie is still third, Bruce Raymond fourth, Kakbricks and Okoski in row 3. And Jim Gallagher and Tim Carroll have not turned a lap in this session.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that. Yeah, I don't have them on my sheets, but Jim Gallagher and Tim Carroll. Tim Carroll, one of our Western competitors, he won his first race a few years ago at Portland. Great racer with CRD and Team SLR, and he's in an M1 chassis. And then Jim Gallagher, longtime racer with us with Cope, with Mike Cope Racing and Cope Race Cars. So he's running in the Pro-Am. So I was surprised to see them in the TA Sprints. And I don't know, maybe they're doing some hardship things or maybe they're doing a little bit of double duty. You know, track time at Road America, if you have the opportunity, why not run as many races and sessions as you can?
Absolutely. Nazolkovsky rolling down the pit lane as well in the 18 car. One of the SLR M1 race cars, Scott Legacy Racing.
Caitlin now operating the cameras, doing some panning and tilting, which as a camera operator myself, that is very difficult to do. And she's operating all of the cameras right now. And the infrastructure, the thing I love about coming to Road America, it's a surprise every year. Every year they make some huge capital improvements. And it seems like they split it up. I don't know the strategy. They do some things for safety or for the track or for the racing surface, but then they also do a huge capital improvement for the spectators, for the overall experience, and it really shows. And there isn't a bad place to watch a race from. You can walk around. There's tunnels, there's bridges, there's so much track access. Like just this weekend alone, there's a car show that's happening down on the new skid pad. There was go-kart championships here last year, and you know this place can house, as we saw last weekend, 100 to 110,000 people. We've had the honor of doing the July 4th NASCAR events here with the TA2 Series, and it's just unbelievable. I've never seen anybody leave this track unhappy. It's just the wow factor here is just incredible. And this weekend, with the weather that we plan on having, it's just going to be amazing. Yeah, it's a bucket list track for sure. And if those of you watching us on the stream have never been, by all means, make your journey up here. It's a beautiful part of the country. The Kettle Moraine here in northeastern Wisconsin. You know, we're about an hour south of Green Bay. Sheboygan over on Lake Michigan is
is you know, the big city here, but of course Elkhart Lake, the legendary resort town just north of the track here, and the host of the original Elkhart Lake road races back in the 50s, in the golden age of sports car racing, when they still raced on public roads. And there's historical markers all over this part of the country, you know, talking about that. And you know, we did the Concours last night down to the Plymouth Cheese Capital Festival. Plymouth, the cheese capital of the world. Some 35% of the nation's cheese comes right from Wisconsin. And so it was great to have an opportunity to parade some of our cars down to Stayer Park last night, and a huge crowd of people, you know, lining the roads on the way down. I was telling Eric, I left the track just before the parade laps, and I'm going down 67, and there's people with lawn chairs. You know, we're out in the middle of the country here. There's people with lawn chairs lining all the way down into Plymouth, you know, watching the cars go by, and then a huge crowd of people to greet the cars when they finally get down there.
Yeah, they know how to party up here. You know, I'm from St. Louis, which is a beer town, and we're just an hour away from Milwaukee, which is another beer town. And then the best ice cream in the world is right here.
Of course.
I prefer Gessert's in downtown Elkhart Lake. Just a really cool place to come. So
James Rogerson, our pace car driver, and I had a cone at Gessert's just night before last.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you know, as somebody that has an ice cream problem, you know, this is not good. I come here twice a year, and I noticed yesterday when I put on what I call my TV costume, it didn't fit as well. I might have overtaken some cheese and some ice cream.
Your dairy input has increased a bit this weekend. Yeah, for sure.
And we see here, this is Mission Foods Turn 5, and our friend Juan Gonzalez from Mission Foods is racing with us later on today in the International GT race. And Juan Gonzalez has done so much for motorsports with the baggers and Moto America, but my favorite thing is right here in Wisconsin, Mission Beach.
Yeah.
And tonight, the staff, all the staff at Racing America, we're going out to Mission Beach and hanging out and having a little chips and salsa and having a little party out there tonight.
Indeed. That's coming up on the camera shot here momentarily as we're following Bruce Raymond around the track as he heads alpha of the carousel turn.
I'm going to hop in here. Just overhearing you talk about your TV costume not fitting. There's a good fix for that here.
What's that?
You just walk around.
Yes.
There you go.
You can bypass you can bypass the shuttle and walk anywhere you'd like here, including the paddock area.
This is very all access, and you can see these great trails here as we're looking at Canada Corner. That was added maybe 5-6 years ago, or paved 5-6 years ago, and this place is so much fun. I put a lot of miles on my scooter, and you're right, Eric, I should be walking.
That's what my doctor says, but you know, how many of us actually listen to that? You should, but how many of us actually do, right?
Well, yeah, they tell you to get in shape, and round is a shape. So, you know, come on.
I'm a perfect round shape. That works.
You can see Bruce Raymond coming in right now into the pit area that they just 2 years ago they widened and lengthened.
Well, so they added the grid road last year in the off season, coming from the lower north paddock area up the hill underneath the new bridge, and then redid the false grid to make it almost the same width as a standard pit lane. Obviously, we've got an endurance race coming up the first weekend in August here at Road America with well over 60 cars expected for that race. So we needed a little bit longer pit lane. So the false grid now doubles as a secondary length of pit lane. But also it's much wider. It's a lot easier for grid marshals to get these cars lined up as well. And there's a lot of things that happen at these race weekends that as fans you may not necessarily pay a lot of attention to. You're just looking at the cars on track. But there's a lot that goes into, you know, making sure that the drivers and teams get their cars lined up appropriately and certainly ready to go racing. And where the grid marshals are, it's protected by, you know, concrete barrier now instead of just an Armco and a chain link fence. So you know, not only is it a visual improvement with you know, with some of our track partners that kind of help put the stonework and things around here at Road America, but those are things that are part of those capital improvements. As you know, the front stretch wall, you know, is poured concrete now where it was the K rails, and now it's got the catch fencing up to more modern FIA standards, you know, not only for, you know, these types of weekends, but for our club competitors as well, with you know, a couple of different club events and regional and the national runoffs here in October as well. So it's a facility that we continually try to put investment back into not only the facility but the infrastructure around it, because the things that you don't think about, bathrooms, more campers. We've sold out camping now for last weekend at IndyCar. IMSA with the 6-hour endurance race is almost there into the overflow camping areas now is what we're hearing, and that's part of why you see a lot of building improvements and things around the facility. But that's the one nice thing about being a privately held but publicly owned facility. Our shareholders expect to see improvements and certainly be a part of what is the legacy of this racetrack from Cliff Tufte. In the 1950s when we were street racing at that golden age to where we are now, the cars have certainly changed a lot, but the nice thing is this racetrack from 1955, the ribbon of asphalt is no different.
Yep.
It's one of the only tracks that we visit that hasn't changed. And I remember years ago when they were talking about, do we need to cut into the hill and make the kink a little bit sweepier? And everybody in motorsports like, no way, no way. You got to keep the kink. And I love that.
Well, but that's something that doesn't get often talked about either, is some of the changes that you've seen are for more particular safety. Obviously, the innovation of Grasscrete in the kink last year was a resounding success. I think that that offers about 40% less traction than the actual racing surface. So it does allow a race car to slow down, but it also allows the driver maybe a chance to catch it. And it's now expanded to turn 14 on exit. You do have it a little bit in 13. You have it in 8. You have it in 6. So those are areas where we routinely see a lot of drivers get in trouble because they jump the curb and go off. Obviously the old adage is if you pave it, they'll use it, right? And as a race car driver, you're always trying to find the fastest way around a racetrack. So if you pave it and it makes you faster, you're going to use it. So the idea is the Grasscrete really isn't going to make you any faster, but it is going to allow a lot more race cars to save. And honestly, cautions are part of racing. I think we all understand that. It's part of some of the excitement that race fans have, is they want to see incidents. And unfortunately, there are crashes that happen that are just absolutely spectacular to see. We don't really want the competitors to do that. The idea is to make sure that it's a clean, safe race weekend. And that Grasscrete, where it is, that innovation here, I think has saved a lot of race cars already this season. I can probably count on both hands and take my shoes off and both feet the number of times I've seen somebody save a race car out of 14 that normally would have ended up in the tire barrier.
But what I love about that is somebody that also has to be an official sometimes at these races is, had you paved to the wall at the kink or outside of 14, now we're having to bring more officials to be able to call out of bounds or not out of bounds. And so how you're doing it now, you're going out there and you're saving your car and you're saving your equipment, but you're not gaining a competitive advantage.
Right.
And so I absolutely love that.
And track limits are a thing. And some series that do come in here don't enforce track limits with the Grasscrete because they kind of feel that they don't need to. Turn 1 is going to be always an area because of the excess pave, towards Corner Station 2, which is basically just above the TireRack.com tunnel. But you look at the racing surface here at Road America. Yes, there's a lot more fence to look through, and a lot of fans kind of opine for that. But realistically, the racetrack itself has not changed. Elevation changes are the same as it was paved in 1955 and the first June sprints in 56. You look at the competition here at Road America has changed tremendously. One of the aspects of this racetrack that we enjoy is obviously the vintage racing, and some of our GT1 competitors in TA are some of the more vintage chassis. Look, Colin Colmer's Mountain Dew, Roush Mustang. But seeing some of those cars come back alive a little bit, during the vintage weekends here is spectacular. Our July weekend, our International Challenge with Brian Redmond weekend here, fantastic. Those cars are a main focus of that. And there's 25 or 30 of them that are here. And nothing beats, and I said this yesterday morning when we started, nothing beats a morning listening to these TA cars fire up, warm up at morning. You know, there's nothing better than the sound of these cars, to be honest. It's one of my favorite weekends because the sound is absolutely deafening with a good deafening. You know, it's like this is the way proper race cars should sound.
Exactly.
You know, but all of the cars that really compete here on a season basis, we always joke that we have about 480 days worth of activity jam-packed in the 365 because we've got the skid pads, we've got the autocross course, we've got, you know, a rallycross course in the back campground. You know, there's a lot of different things that happen not only on the big track but on the Motorplex itself. Kart racing on Tuesday nights, you know, and some Saturdays. So this racetrack has certainly seen a lot of technology change in the cars, and
well, don't forget about the light show too.
Well,
you guys have a light show here.
But to be blunt, a lot of people kind of are concerned about that. You know, we're losing visibility because of the fences. But at the same time, race cars today are much faster than they were in the 1950s. And to be fair, our priority over anything is competitor safety, but fan safety as well. So those fences are put in places because if it's there, it's going to be found.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think that there's a corner exit or corner entrance that's safe from seeing a car impact the fence around it.
Yeah.
And the straightaway's no different. I mean, we've had restarts here that somebody misses a shift and, you know, 4 or 5 cars get bound up all right here just before start finish. We've seen a car, you know, a Can-Am car during the vintage weekend a few years back. You know,
Jim
Pace. Another incident where the safety gear today saved Jim at that point, and of course, unfortunately, we lost Jim 6 months later. In 2020.
Unrelated though.
Unrelated to the COVID epidemic. But Jim Pace was one of my instructors when I took a racing school here in the late 90s. And along with Duck Waddle, and we sadly miss Duck as well. His bench is over in turn 11, but the safety of our racing is paramount. And I'm okay making a little bit of a change to a fence to add a top catch rail if that's going to save somebody.
Yeah.
So,
but if you're complaining about a fence, there's still plenty of places
you can go without one,
and not like we were.
Exactly.
Caitlin was just showing us turn 5. And if you're on the bleachers, you might be looking through a fence. But if you just go to the other side, there's no, there's just you can look cleanly. So I don't think people can really complain about that at all.
But it's a sightline thing. But everybody's got their favorite spot. They put their chair there for the last 30 years, and that's their spot. And but that's also part of. They own this racetrack. It's no different than going to Lambeau for the Packers as a shareholder for the Packers, right? You have your season tickets. You've sat there for the last 40 years, and now they put seat backs on all the bleachers around you, and you still don't have a seat back, and you're like, I don't need a seat back. I've been here for 40 years. What do I need a seat back for? But it's the same concept. But I think from a general understanding aspect, to just kind of put a button on it, this racetrack heavily invested in making sure that the competition is safe. And the fans are safe, and that the fans still have access to everything they possibly can, within reason to the racetrack. And I think that's what makes this racetrack and sets it apart. Open paddock space is not really something that happens in a lot of places, because sometimes if you're on a street course, you're cordoned off in a back parking structure, and it's just not accessible for fans. So racing on these natural terrain road courses, like Mid Ohio, like Road America, certainly places that harken back to a long-standing tradition of great racing events. And your schedule's pretty diverse with this series as well, which makes this series so attractive, I think, to hopefully building partnerships along the way as well. This TA2 product is phenomenal. And I think International GT has grown leaps and bounds. I remember when it was 2 Porsches and a Ferrari 458. 3 cars, and what it's grown into now is fantastic. And it's great competition. We saw that in a green to checkered finish yesterday as well.
Exactly.
Well, John, who's on track?
Trans Am and GT is on track right now. These are the big boys, 900 horsepower, no driver aids. These cars are all down to the interface between the driver and the racetrack, and these magnificent race cars. They make a noise, as Eric was saying, that is unsurpassed in motorsports. And yesterday, Paul Menard was atop the order. Paul, of course, from Wisconsin. This is his home track, and he was under the lap record set here by Matt Brabham a year ago, a 2:01.386, and Menard was almost a full second under that old lap record. Matt Brabham was second quick, and he was not quite at lap record pace, but maybe a second and a little change behind. So that's going to be a great battle for the pole. Matt Brabham has been the guy to beat here this season. He's only been off the top step of the podium once, and that was at Lime Rock, where he had a mechanical issue, which is very rare for the CD Racing Mustang. But he's won every race except Lime Rock Park. But Paul Menard's been on the podium in every race.
Yeah.
And it took the win at Lime Rock for the one race.
Consistent.
Yes.
Is Paul Menard.
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. And Tommy Dreese, third in the points. Tommy's one of our most experienced drivers. He's been with us forever. A former champion back in the day. Dreese won back in 2009. He was the Trans Am champion. He's been in the top 2 or 3 for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years in a row.
Yeah.
And so, a consistent performer. And we're welcoming back Amy Ruman this weekend, or last weekend at Indianapolis. This is her second weekend back after that off-track incident late in the fall last year. Caused her to miss COTA. She's got rods in her leg. She's got an ankle rebuilt. She's been through physical rehab, and she finally got to the point where she thought her fitness level was such that she could get back in the race car, and she joined us at Indy, and she's here with us again.
Yeah.
And always one of the favorites in the paddock, and it's great to see Amy back in the car.
It is. And I saw Bob and Barb in the paddock at Indy, and for me, that's like kind of coming home. They were really the first team in Trans Am, Amy and her mom and dad, to kind of welcome me in. This weird guy that worked for SVRA that was putting cameras in her car and things like that. So I absolutely love that. But we were talking about Paul Menard. There goes the McNichols Chevrolet of our 2-time champion, Amy Ruman. And I was talking to Paul Menard because he's from Paul Menard. He's from here. He lives in Charlotte now, but his whole family is here, and Menards. And I was asking if the whole crew's coming out, because I tell you what, Paul's sister and Paul's mom, Paula, they bring the party. Right. And I absolutely love, being on Winter Circle or Jim Weed Winter Circle when they're out there. And as a musician, and you're a musician as well, I found this out a couple years ago. Paula wrote the jingle, the Save Big Money at Menards. And then I found out it's actually a 3-minute song. But, anytime I say or hear Paul Menard, the rest of the day I have that jingle in my head. And so as a songwriter myself, I'm like, well, that's one of the greatest jingles ever. Such an earworm, and that's what you're trying for when it jingles. So it's like meeting, one of your favorite songwriters. Because I grew up in the Midwest. I'm from St. Louis, so, I know Menards really well. So it's really cool. But we forgot to mention the TA Cup class of that 86 coming there right there, the Dodge Challenger. It's a new class. We've got Ken Sutherland and Kanicki out there with us right now in some of these TA Cup cars that you see on screen. And Chris Evans, Jeff Jefferson kind of came up with this platform. And I would say it's kind of a marriage between a TA2 car and a TA or a TA1 car, and a great platform. We've seen some great battles out there. Cole Moore had a great finish last weekend with us in Indianapolis. And this, I feel like, kind of we saw TA2 10, 12 years ago grow. I think we're going to see this TA Cup class grow as well. Yeah, Cole Moore is the points leader coming into this weekend in TA Cup. Jim Guthrie right behind him. Then Ken Thwaites, who are our COO of Racing America, also in third in the points. He's got a couple podiums already this year. Ken Sutherland and David Kanicki racing with us this weekend in Trans Am Cup. Look at this, John DeGainer, local driver in the number 4 out of Brookfield Hills, Michigan, in the Speed Dreamin' Racing number 4, setting the early pace here. Ken Sutherland right behind him, Amy Ruman third, Paul Menard fourth. Again, it's very early days. Matthew Brabham has just set off on his first flying lap. Lawrence Loshak, another local driver from Milwaukee, joining us in the GT1 class here this weekend in the Auditwell Chevy Corvette. So it's great to have Loshak back with us. Derek Carter in the lone GT car in the field. Jim Guthrie and Rob Dickey still to come by start-finish. David Pinterick now goes to the top on his second flying lap. Colin Comer right behind him in that number 6 Mountain Dew
Ford Mustang. Tommy Dreese now second quick, as every time a car comes by the line, the order changing here is the early stages of this first official practice session for our Trans Am and GT drivers.
And ladies and gentlemen, Lawrence Loshak, longtime Trans Am competitor. He won a few years ago at Mid-Ohio in TA2. He's run in TA. But if you're out there wondering who to root for, Lawrence Loshak, just right down the road from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yep.
So he's one to kind of keep an eye on. This is his home track. He's done a lot of laps here. And we were talking about how Amy Ruman welcomed me in the TA side of Trans Am. Lawrence Loshak and Gar Robinson back in the 2014-15 times in Trans Am, they were the ones that kind of welcomed me in and explained TA2 to me. So it was awesome to see. I saw Lawrence Loshak driving around his golf cart with Gary Seelix, just like the old days, and that was really cool to see as well.
Yeah, it's great to have him in the paddock here this week, and he was a late entry. I think he was sitting at home and thought, well, what? I got nothing else to do this weekend. Let's load up the car and go up to Road America. So.
But watch out, Lawrence. This is a tough addiction to shake.
Yeah.
You know, once you get that little taste again, you might be back with us, and I hope he is. And then there's Colin Comer in that beautiful Mountain Dew Roush car running in the GT1. He won here last year.
Yep.
And I was talking to his crew. They were able to add 3 gallons to his fuel cell because last year it's a 100-mile race, and he had to come in for a splash to finish the race. And
right.
He thinks he can finish the race here, but he is also, if you're looking for somebody to root for, he's even more local than Lawrence Loshak. He's like in this area, like the Elkhart Lake area. His wife races in Austin Healey Bug-Eye Sprite at the WeatherTech International. That's going to be here in just a few weeks.
In July,
another great vintage event. And Colin Comer, he did the parade with us last year. He's got a 10-year-old son named Briggs,
right.
Which, you know, if you know the history of Elkhart Lake, why not name your son Briggs?
Right.
And I expect to see Briggs in Trans Am here in about 4 or 5 years. Oh, there's Tommy Dreese.
Menard quickest again, a 2:02.5 for his fastest lap. Tommy Dreese second quick, about 2 seconds back. David Pinterick third in the number 57. Cole Moore, the quickest of our Trans Am Cup drivers. He is the points leader after all. Cole in the 99 car this weekend. Normally the 89 is Cole's number, but he's in the 99 this weekend. Only a 10th behind Dreese. Pinterick back to 4th now, as Colin Comer in the GT1 car 5th overall.
Wow.
Then John DeGainer in another of the contemporary Trans Am cars. Amy Ruman back to 7th. Ken Sutherland 2nd in Trans Am Cup in 8th position. Ken Thwaites right behind him. Then David Konicki. So 3 of our Trans Am Cup drivers, 8th, 9th, and 10th on the timing screen. Austin Dinger making his debut with us here this weekend in the number 88 Corvette in the SGT class. Patrick Udd and Tim Gray also racing in SGT. Matt Brabham has only done 2 laps and has yet to turn a representative time. We saw him rolling down the pit lane a little while ago. So Brabham keeping his powder dry for this practice session, getting ready for qualifying. These cars will set the grid at 1:50 this afternoon.
Matt Brabham, just like Jeff Brabham back in the day, his dad, he does not show his cards early.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And that's this is kind of a normal thing. And Chris Dyson Racing, they know strategy. You know, some of these Dyson crew were back with Rob Dyson back in the 80s and 90s winning IMSA championships, then Chris Dyson winning IMSA championships. They know how to play the game very well.
Rob just had a birthday, if memory serves. So.
Yeah, just at Indy while we were at Indy.
Yeah.
Father's Day weekend, and he was able to join Chris. But if you're joining us here on the Racing America YouTube channel, I'm monitoring the comments. If we get something wrong or you want to yell at the commentators, please yell at us in all caps. Or if you have some good information for us or something that we're not covering, or where are you watching from? Or if you're here at Road America, where are you watching from? Maybe Caitlin can zero in on you. But leave us some comments and give us some expertise. Help us out in here. There goes Amy Ruman, Colin Comer. And I don't know if that's Sutherland or Konicki.
Tommy Dreese coming rolling down the pit lane as he's second fastest right now in the Trent Shoring Camaro for Dreese Racing. His teammate Simon Gregg was on the entry list, but I haven't seen Simon this weekend, so I don't know if he's here or just hasn't been out on track.
I was asking Gary Seelix, and I think he's went somewhere on vacation, which is pretty normal for Simon Gregg.
Sure.
But I miss having Simon here. I love having him back in the series. And one of my favorite moments in Trans Am just a few weeks ago at Sonoma, he got on the podium for the first time again. And I introduced him, and he stood up on the podium and just paused for about 10 seconds just to take it in.
Just to soak it in.
Because I think 3 years ago he thought he was never going to be back in the Trans Am Series.
Yep.
So it was great to have him. And I've never heard a bad word spoken about Simon Gregg.
Right.
So it's awesome to have him here. Here's Patrick Utt, one of my great friends, coming through the garage living section in that Race Quip SGT car.
Utt in the number 49. Out of the Badger Autosport team from Chevrolet Camaro up here in Badger Country. Race Grip and Driven Racing Oil sponsoring him out of Tampa, Florida.
Trying to find my friend Lawrence Loshak. Is he out there? I can't see if he's out there
I don't
yet.
see him yet. He has not. He's shown up on the timing monitor, but has not yet turned to time. Same story for Derek Carter in the lone GT car here this weekend. And number 24, Rob Dickey, also has not yet turned a lap in this session in the one of the other GT cars. Both of our GT competitors here this weekend making their first start of the season with us. Rob out of Orange, California in the Lost Bean Coffee Chevy Camaro, and Colin Comer again, always in the field here at his home track in the Collins Classic Auto. In fact, they're paddocked right across the front straightaway from our commentary position here.
I always like to see, what did Colin drive to the track today?
Yeah.
And just across from us is a Cobra 427 and a Shelby GT 350.
And the Shelby was here when I got here, and the Cobra just got backed in, so I'm guessing he drove the Cobra to the track. So.
It's really cool.
Yeah, no
and
kidding.
if you follow him on social media, you know, he has some auction sites, and he's always buying and selling and trading just really, really cool cars. He has very good taste in cars.
Indeed he does. Well, British cars in your case, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his wife might have better taste in cars than he does, actually.
Fortunately, Colin's in the car and cannot hear you right now.
Yes,
Of course,
yes.
he may be tuning to the FM frequency here at the track, and
I'm sure I'll get a nasty text from him for that one.
yeah.
But he gives it to me right back, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Well, there's Brabham.
Yep, he's
And
back out on track.
I got to tell a great story about our friend there, David Pintera, because we're coming up to the 250th anniversary of the United States of America at Road America. That's the most American car in the field.
Red, white, and blue.
And we did the Cheese Cup Festival, the Cheese Capital Festival last night, and he went to Walmart and figured out how to attach 2 American flags to that car that Caitlin's zeroing in on here. And when he got out of the car, he had tears streaming from his eyes. And I put the camera in his face, and he's like, is this not just the most wonderful thing? And it's so cool to see, you know, this. I know that this means a lot to everybody around the track, but it also means just as much to our drivers. And as somebody that considers themselves like the camp counselor of the paddock, my job and my goal is for everybody to just have the best weekend. And David Pintera is one of those people that seems that no matter what happens to him on the track, he's just like, I'm just lucky to be out here racing. And I love that.
Yeah. David is not a spring chicken. He's not the oldest driver in the field, but he's up there, and
but in great shape.
Yeah, exactly. He's in fantastic physical shape, and he's been racing with us since 2013. Only a single win in his Trans Am career, and I remember that vividly at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And he's one of the mainstays of our paddock, and has been with us for a long time. His best championship finish was a 4th in 2018, and then he had a pair of 5th place finishes in 2022 and 2023. Didn't race with us in 2024, but came back last season with a 6th place finish in the championship. So always with the Kreider Racing logo on the car, and the Bird's Eye View Project, his sponsor this year, out of Canfield, Ohio, up near Cleveland.
Yeah. And the Bird's Eye View Project, great project. He's working with veterans.
Yep.
And it actually doing the work, the shape that he's in.
Yeah.
Because he's working out with these guys, and some of these guys were like our Delta Force and Elite Forces there, and we've got somebody off there at turn 7. I believe that looks like Amy Ruman in that McNichols Chevrolet Corvette. We're going black flag all. Man, Caitlin caught that before race control did.
Fantastic. So
you guys, if you could see what John and I are seeing, I'm seeing Caitlin sitting at a console board with what looks like 110 different buttons that do 110 different things. and she's controlling this all by herself. And that's just another improvement I've seen with Road America, this infrastructure.
Oh, yeah.
That we were here in May, and they were able to live stream our event here in May. And it's just unbelievable. We're going to see a drone, I think, later on with this. So it's really cool to see what they can do. And Caitlin and Tom are kind of trading off operating these cameras. And as a camera operator, editor myself, I keep getting distracted looking over there like, how in the world is she doing this?
Caitlin and Tom do a fantastic job. And for those of you watching on the stream, these images are on the giant screens around the track. That's what we're piggybacking on for the stream here this weekend. Of course, tomorrow when we get into our Trans Am and Cube 3 Architecture TA2 races, our full video crew is here, for the broadcast of that. As Alan Bestwick and Andy Petrie will be on the call for the Trans Am and the TA2 race. But, the fact that the track provides these images that we're able to stream for you folks is just fantastic. And we thank Road America and all their staff and, again, all of the improvements that they've made over the years to make this possible. No other track that we go to has this level of sophistication in their AV department. And it is a lesson that every permanent road course in the country can take a lesson from. These people do it better than anybody else.
It's a tall order, though.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is.
We've been talking about the improvements in Road America, but let's talk about our own in-house improvements. So in the off-season, we acquired Racing America, and man, you were talking about Andy Petrie, Alan Bestwick. Nate Dreyer is the pit lane reporter, and it has really stepped up. Like I remember we were at Sebring for test.
Right.
And, I've obviously longtime admirer of Alan Bestwick, but I didn't really put it together until I heard him.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, my gosh, immediately. I was like, what a huge notch up for Alan, having Alan Bestwick, and then it looks like Amy's okay.
Yep,
as
out
she
of the
gets
car.
out. And, so Eric's showing us, you can see the tire marks come through. She hit the K-rail there. You can see that she's just really disappointed. And she's looking at the car, but I love seeing that Amy Ruman is okay. But, back to the Alan Bestwick, Andy Petrie, Nate in pit lane, just what a combination. I was watching them at Indy, and it's really stepped up the professionalism and everything we're seeing in the Trans Am broadcast. And what better fitting than to do that on the 60-year Trans Am anniversary?
You bet.
And so you guys are in for a real treat on Sunday. I absolutely love it, and it's great. I know you're good friends with the Rumans, with being Mid-Ohio being their home tracks. It's great to see her out and about.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it's so great. And walking without a limp, I might add, and when she got out of the race car. So that's good news and a testament to the hard work that she's done since her injury to get her physical fitness back up to a level, and, all of the work that she had to do to recover from multiple surgeries on that leg. So, my hat is off to Amy and her dad Bob and her mom Barb. They're a real family affair in that paddock.
And Amy is a fighter.
You betcha. She does not give up easily at all.
No, it's
two-time champion, the first female champion in our series, won back-to-back in 2015 and 2016. She's been in the top 3 of the championship multiple times, finished 5th a year ago, and quite frankly, with a car that is a bit older.
The oldest chassis in TA.
Yeah.
She's probably competing with Colin Comer's chassis.
Yeah.
Colin Comer, is in a GT1 chassis, but it's around probably within a 6 to 8 year period away from each other.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
She's closer to his chassis than she is like David Penterix or Matthew Brabham's and those new Ave Rileys.
Yep, exactly right. So hopefully there's not too much damage, so they don't have a big thrash to get ready for qualifying coming up this afternoon at 1:50. So hopefully the tire barrier did its job, and there won't be a lot of hard work in the Ruman paddock. Speaking of paddock and the hard work in the paddock, the other thing that it so impresses me with Trans Am, especially in TA2, is the camaraderie in the paddock.
Yeah.
You'd think, well, that's there's all this competition, and everybody hates everybody else, and boy, that's just not the case here. These guys and gals that work behind the scenes, very friendly. They help each other out to the extent that they're able, And it's great to see in this era where competition is so pitched. We're going to end this session because the recovery work there, they're going to do some rebuilding of the tire barrier. So the checkers coming out for this first official practice session for our Trans Am drivers, but their last opportunity before we go into qualifying later. Paul Menard with the quickest time, a 2:02.5. Cole Moore in Trans Am Cup, second fastest in that number 99 JM Environmental Moore Motorsport machine out of Granite Bay, California, a 2:04.6. Tommy Dreese, third fastest in the number 8, second amongst the Trans Am cars, just about a tenth behind. David Pinteric, another half a second back in fourth position in the 57 car. Amy Ruman, fifth fastest prior to her incident. Matthew Brabham, only sixth quickest in this session. But like you say, they're keeping their powder dry. Colin Comer, first of the GT1 cars, in seventh. John DeGainer in the number 4 car. In eighth spot, Jim Guthrie, first of our Trans Am Cup drivers. Or second behind Cole Moore. Cole Moore all the way up in second. Jim Guthrie second in Trans Am car in the 9th position in the 62. And Ken Thwaites in another of our Trans Am Cup cars in the 10th position in that number 9 car. Ken Sutherland, David Konicki, Austin Dinger on debut this weekend. Patrick Utt and Tim Gray rounding out the field. We did not see Lawrence Loshak, Derek Carter, or Rob Dickey in this practice session. Coming up next, Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series Practice as their first official practice session of the weekend coming up next. And speaking of which, innovation meets adrenaline with Cube 3 Architecture as title sponsor of the Trans Am TA2 Pro and Pro Am Series. Cube 3 helps power one of North America's most competitive racing platforms. This partnership, years in the making, unites world-class design expertise with elite motorsports performance. For the 2006 season, Cube 3 continues to accelerate the growth and future of Trans Am's TA2 series. Cube 3 Architecture, bringing design innovation and racing passion together. NextGen makes the most powerful detailing products on the market today. Working with professional detailers and dealerships for the last 20 years, NextGen brought their line of premium products to the public in 2019 and have been proving their reputation as one of the leading automotive aftercare brands in America. Made in the U.S., all of NextGen's products use the highest level ingredients and cutting-edge chemistry to deliver speed, performance, and value for automotive detailers and DIY enthusiasts. NextGen advanced detailing products can be found nationwide at O'Reilly Auto Parts and online at getnextgen.com. NextGen, the official car care sponsor of Racing America. Skillman Auto Group is a premier automotive dealership group committed to exceptional service, quality vehicles, and community engagement. Built on a legacy of trust, integrity, and customer-first values, Skillman Auto Group delivers an elevated automotive experience while supporting the communities it serves. Skillman Auto Group and Ray Skillman Ford, the official safety car of Racing America. Again, just about 10 minutes away from the start of our Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series Practice, so attention in the paddock. This is your 10-minute call to the grid for Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series Practice. 10-minute call, please.
Racing brought to you by Yamaha, the industry-leading power sports company. From motorcycles, ATVs, and side-by-side vehicles to power products and much more, Yamaha revs your heart. For more information, visit YamahaMotorsports.com. Welcome back to the track, race fans and drivers. Whether you're on the track or on the road, remember nothing protects your vehicle like premium WeatherTech products. Find your fit at WeatherTech.com. Crete Truck Centers has a large inventory of new Mack, Volvo, Hino, Isuzu, and Autocar trucks, as well as road-ready pre-owned vehicles. With locations in Sheboygan and throughout Wisconsin, Crete Truck Centers is dedicated to keeping your business moving down the road by providing parts and service for all makes and models of trucks, along with leasing and rentals. Find out more at CreteTrucks.com. Crete Truck Centers, the official vehicle recovery partner of Road America. TireRack.com is proud to be the official tire retailer of Road America. For over 40 years, Tire Rack has been helping drivers find the right tires for both the street and the track. Shipped fast and free and backed by 2 years of free road hazard protection. Enjoy next-day delivery to you or to one of over 10,000 recommended installers. Shop for wheels, brakes, suspension, and more. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be. Cedar Crest small batch artisan ice cream is made right here in Wisconsin by your friends and family with real Wisconsin dairy. We make Cedar Crest ice cream in small batches so it's creamier just like the ice cream of your childhood. It's the stuff memories are made of. Picture yourself with your family enjoying a great day and topping it off with Cedar Crest ice cream. Look for Cedar Crest throughout Wisconsin and enjoy some old-fashioned frozen goodness. The Village of Elkhart Lake welcomes you to Road America and the National Park of Speed. Following today's events, head north out of the gates into Elkhart Lake for great food and live lakeside entertainment. Let the fun continue at Wisconsin's legendary getaway, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. How fast does a car have to go to make a 2-minute, 30-second lap here at Road America? How about 2 minutes flat? You can find out the top speed of your favorite cars with the CollinsClassicAuto.com Speed Zone in Turn 5. Visit CollinsClassicAuto.com today for all of your collector car buying, selling, and consulting needs. Collins Classic Automobiles, proud sponsor of Road America. Welcome to the home of one tough animal, Bobcat Plus. Wisconsin's largest Bobcat dealer has your winning combination of reliable machines that get your jobs to the finish line. Visit us for sales, service, parts, and rental in De Pere, Appleton, Butler, and Eau Claire. Gear up with the best value in safety. RaceQuip keeps you covered head to toe, including youth products. You can visit RaceQuip online or in the Road America Paddock Shop. Gear up, strap in, go race with RaceQuip.
As we mentioned, coming up next, Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series, their first official practice session, followed by International GT Sprint Race number 2. We had a great sprint race yesterday. International GT, green flag, flag to flag, and then the qualifying session for our FRP Formula Atlantic and Formula 2000 drivers will round out our morning card as they'll take the track at 11 o'clock. An early lunch break today. We break for lunch at 11:30. And then we'll be back right after lunch at 12:30 for the TA Sprint qualifying. We saw them in practice earlier. And then the FRP F-1600 Heat Race number 1 coming up at 1:05 this afternoon. Qualifying for our Trans Am and GT cars at 1:50, followed immediately by qualifying for these Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series cars at 2:35, and then the endurance race for our international GT drivers, a 1-hour enduro with a mandatory 5-minute pit stop somewhere in the middle. And then Formula Atlantic and F2000 heat race number 1. And then we'll have the first of 2 sprint races this weekend for our TA sprint class. They'll take the track at 5:20 this afternoon. Recovery work at turn 7 just about complete as we've got the tilt bed with Amy Ruman's car departing the scene of that unfortunate incident for Amy. A short 5-minute been giving to the field for our Trans Am TA2 drivers. The Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series taking the track for the first time today. They had a couple test sessions yesterday, but this is their first official practice session of the weekend. In testing yesterday, John Buffalmonte set the quickest time in the number 95 Nitro Motorsports Camry, a 2:10.447. And Matthew Brabham, yes, Matthew Brabham is racing in TA2 this weekend. So he's doing double duty. Matt Brabham has been longing to get into a TA2 car for a long time, and so this is an opportunity for him to do that. And he's a very adaptable driver. And, a lot of the first question you answer him, how do you, go from a 900 horsepower Trans Am car to a car with half that horsepower, or, 500 horsepower in a TA2 car? It's a very different suspension and very different chassis. But Brabham says, I'm really adaptable. I mean, this is a guy who's raced stadium super trucks, for goodness grace, and has done, open wheel racing. Still does a lot of open wheel racing and vintage competition. So he was right up at the sharp edge in that test session yesterday, only about 0.3 of a second behind John Buffalmonte, and was in front of the points leader, Elio Mesa, the Spring Texas phenom from Alessandro's Racing and the SLR M1 Chevy Camaro. He has got a new teammate this weekend in Matthew Brabham. Lainey Bice also did a fantastic job yesterday in the number 27. She was 4th quickest in the Sunoco Guthrie's Garage SLR M1 Camaro. Adrian Lestowski rounding out the top 5 out of Maspeth, New York, and the number 3 CMI Spot On Services AMT Motorsports Ford Mustang. Ethan Jacobs on debut this weekend in the number 91 out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin, in the JDH Racing Ford Mustang. Did a great job up into the top 6. Noah Harmon in the 7 was 7th. Elan Day, second in the points coming into this weekend. The Israeli driver in the SLR M1 stable was 8th quickest. Jared Odrick, the quickest of our Pro-Am drivers out of Lebanon, Pennsylvania, in the black underwear Helium Mobile Camaro. And Eric Caton rounding out the top 10 in yesterday's testing in the number 71 Ray Skillman Auto Group Ford Mustang. Thanks to Ray Skillman Auto Group for providing the safety car for us for this entire season of Racing America competition, not only used for Trans Am and Cube 3 architecture, but also for our formula classes, as well as the Racing America formula classes, the Ligier Junior Formula Championship, the F4 US Championship, and the Formula Regional Americas Championship. Ethan Tovo, third in the points coming into this weekend in the Dick's Sporting Goods Toyota Camry, coming off a 4th place finish at Indianapolis. Noah Harmon on the podium at Indianapolis in the number 7, his second podium on the season. He was also third in round 2 at the doubleheader out at Sonoma in the High Point Rockers Cube 3 Camaro. Adrian Listowski, 5th in the points, had a podium finish in the very first race at Sebring where he finished 3rd. Has not been on the podium since, so Listowski due for a good weekend here. He had a 5th place in the first round at Sonoma. Eric Caton, as we mentioned, in the 6th place spot in the Ray Skillman Ford Mustang. His best finish so far this season was at Sebring, where he had a 6th place finish there. Jackson Tovo, Ethan Tovo's twin brother, in the number 30 Pilot Travel Center's Toyota Camry for Nitro Motorsports. Also looking for his first podium on the season. But Jackson had a 5th place at Lime Rock Park. Stanton Barrett in the 88, the AT8, Acellus Hertz SBM, Stanton Barrett Motorsports Ford Mustang, as we're about a minute away from sending these cars out. And John Buffamante, who was quickest in testing yesterday in the number 95 Nitro Motorsports Camry. Seamus McKendry, his teammate, in the number 20, rounding out the top 10 in the points table. In the Pro-Am Championship, Jared Odrick winning 4 races already this season. He had a 5th place finish at Road Atlanta and a 13th place finish at Indianapolis. A very rare mechanical problem for that numbers 00 car. Cale Phillips, 2nd in the points in the Mincy's Graphics SNP Camry. Matt Gray, 3rd in our Pro-Am drivers in the 64. Doug Winston, 4th. Christina Lamb, who's had a troubled weekend, in 5th spot in the team car to our championship leader and defending champion, Jared Odrick, winning his first championship a year ago. As our TA2 cars making their way down the pit lane and onto the racetrack, as we've got a big field of 30 cars here this weekend. The lap record, a 2:06.069, set by Mike Skeen here a year ago. Adrian Listowski going to be held in the pit lane for 5 minutes due to an infraction yesterday. Speeding in the paddock, I think, was what they dinged him for.
Yeah, and I actually heard Tim Richter, our race director, talking to Adrian last night at the Cheese Capital Parade.
Yep.
And Adrian, who is a staunch competitor, said, like, yeah, I know, my bad.
I was late to the grid.
So, yeah, so I love that about him.
Yeah.
As they come into Cube 3 Architecture Turn 1, our great sponsor here. And I tell you, I got to brag on our sponsor, marketing partner, Cube 3, Nick Middleton, the CEO, co-founder. This is the 2nd race in his 5-year TA2 history that he hasn't been able to make.
Wow.
It's been unbelievable. Just one of those.
I was going to say, I can never remember him not being at the racetrack.
It's one of those partners that any race series would absolutely dream of having. He knows everybody in the paddock, crew chiefs, mechanics, truck drivers, always willing to lend a hand. My favorite story is he had never been around Sonoma, and he goes, hey, are you setting up brake markers? I'll help you set up brake markers. I just want to go around Sonoma. And so he's out there as CEO of the company setting up signs for like Mission or for Cube 3. So I love seeing that. And that's just who he is. He's always willing to jump in, lend a hand. He stays late sometimes with our drivers. He loves the driver development aspect of this. So it's unbelievable to have him out here. And then, like I said, one of our marketing partners is here in the paddock this weekend, Juan Gonzalez, longtime supporter. And if you're truly a fan of motorsports, ladies and gentlemen, it's our duty to support those who support us. So,
Exactly
make
right.
sure you're getting Mission chips and that you're checking out Stack Auto Lifts and Garage Living and Cube 3 Architecture. If you're going to build a skyscraper in your city, go to Cube 3.
Yeah, go to O'Reilly, get some next-gen products to detail your car. Again, these folks support us and make the racing possible. Without that kind of sponsorship support, we couldn't be here. Let's face it. And so, yeah, your duty as a race fan, support the folks that support us. There's the field coming up to speed here. Michael LaPaglia, one of the first cars across the line. Jackson Tovo, Gavin Gleitzman, Doug Winston, Tim Carroll. Great to see Tim in the field out of Santa Ana, California. Long tow for him in the CRD Manufacturing Camaro, one of our Pro-Am competitors.
And a longtime Western Championship competitor.
Yeah.
Great to have him here. He and LaPaglia, Brad McAllister's here this weekend. It's really neat to see our Western competitors out here. And then I want to give a big thank you to anybody that came out to the parade last night, the Cheese Capital Cup parade into downtown Plymouth. Michael LaPaglia was there, Gavin Gleitzman, who we saw earlier, Doug Winston, Adrian Lostovsky, the Tovo twins.
Yep.
And it was really quite a show. And then we had a big onslaught of the international GT competitors there as well.
Right. And we're going to see them twice this afternoon as their second sprint race coming up later this morning, actually. It's the next thing out on track at 10:20. And then we'll have their Enduro on Saturday afternoon. Again, unusual. Normally their Enduro is first thing Sunday morning. But again, a tight schedule here this weekend. So we moved it to Saturday afternoon. So they'll get 2 bites of the apple here today.
Yeah. Out my window, I see Haley Rodriguez, the Trans Am social media director, on the starter stand. You need to follow the Trans Am series on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and we're monitoring the comments right now on Racing America TV YouTube. So if we get something wrong, feel free to yell at us in all caps. Where are you watching from? Who are you rooting for? And if you have any great insight or expertise on these cars or drivers, please fill us in, and we'll read your name, and we'll make you an expert. And I love it when people yell at me when I get things wrong.
I didn't know Ben was a masochist. That's interesting.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
I love yelling at my TV when the commentators get it wrong, and I've been watching a lot of the World Cup, and, I yell at the TV. So this is your chance, and I'll respond.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you misspell or have bad grammar, I'll also respond with that as well. Laney Bice and Elio Meza, their cars weren't there last night, but they came out and signed autographs. And the thing about it, John, and we've heard this so many times talking to drivers, like, how did this start for you? Well, when I was 8 years old, Bobby Unser let me sit in his car, and that's what set the hook.
Yeah.
And I saw last night a lot of hooks being set. You know, Doug Winston was putting people in and out of his car all night long.
Right.
And you sit in a TA2 car, you get a better understanding of what these drivers are doing. And Laney Bice, I saw all the girls out there just looking up to her like, oh, this is so great. And she's so great talking to fans. And I could tell that there's going to be a lot of very interested people in this area in TA2 because they're meeting the drivers.
Yeah, yeah. And, there's no community that supports a racetrack more than the surrounding community here around this racetrack. Elkhart Lake, Plymouth, obviously, the racetrack has a Plymouth mailing address. So, obviously they embrace this racetrack. And I was saying earlier, I left the racetrack just before the parade down to Stayer Park last night, and all the way down 67, in the middle of nowhere, there, cars, people with lawn chairs and sitting on their riding lawnmowers and taking their golf carts just to watch the cars go by. It's just great community support here. Adrian Lostowski has served his penalty, so he's now free to join this practice session. This will be the final practice pre-qualifying for these drivers, so look for some setup changes. I saw Christina Lamb out there. Just want to make sure she's not languishing back at the back as she was in the testing yesterday.
Love seeing the blue flags out there from our corner workers there at Canada Corner. I'm seeing on the scoring Michael LaPaglia doing a 212. There's Laney Bice.
Gavin Gleitzman goes to the top with a 2:10.137. That's fast time of the weekend so far for these TA2 cars. Matthew Brabham second quick, about half a second back with a 2:10.596. Took him a while in testing yesterday he sort of had to sneak up on it, which we were talking about earlier. He rarely does. You know, he kind of keeps his powder dry and then throws in a flyer at the end of the session. But yesterday you could tell he was getting used to the car, getting used to how it worked, and learning how to drive it fast. And he's a quick study.
Yeah, very quick study. and I was talking to Markle there with SLR, and he was saying that, you know, he just adapts very quickly, gives them very good information. And just one of those drivers you want to have in your car. We just saw Gian Buffamonte go through Mission Foods Turn 5. Gian, just from down the road, I think Naperville, Illinois. Tony Buffamonte, his dad, is a TA2 champion, and I've known Tony for quite a while. And when we come here for our May event with SVRA, the last couple of years, Gian was competing in the go-kart track.
Right.
And I went over there and filmed him and hung out with Tony and Tony's dad. And so it's so cool to see now Gian, who I've known since basically a baby, now out there racing. And he told me, and Tony was kind of making fun of him today, that he's got a lot of friends coming because they live about 2.5 hours away. Gian considers this his home track.
Sure.
And he's doing very well here.
Yeah, he was quickest in testing yesterday. So, you know, surprised a lot of people, actually. So, great job for Gian.
He's like that. He's just like his dad. He's kind of that silent assassin. Last year, I believe he finished, I can't remember if it was 4th or 6th in the championship, and he's always kind of in that top 6 of the championship here. And, you know, he's a very, very good driver. Here he comes, right here, Tom, right on the spot with the cameras. That's him down there in that red Toyota. There's Doug Winston behind him.
Noah Harmon just coming over the rise there at the Bill Mitchell Bend. Gian finished 4th in the championship in his first season a year ago.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
If you know motorsports and you know road racing, you know that this is one of the most competitive, if not the most competitive, road racing series in North America. And so finish 4th your first year, that's really impressive. You were talking about Noah Harmon, who's coming through Cube 3 Turn 1. He's got High Point rockers on his rear quarter panel, one of the sponsors. And I think the owner was with us at Sonoma, and now I'm hearing that when we go to VIR, we're going to do a night at the High Point Rockers, minor league baseball. Yeah. And I think Noah and Tanner Reif and Max Reeves are all going to be able to throw out the opening pitches.
Okay, awesome.
There's Alon Day right in front of Gian. He is 2nd in points in the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series. He had his first win at Lime Rock, and very good driver from Israel.
3 second-place finishes, including at Indianapolis last weekend. Was on the podium twice at Sonoma and had a 3rd-place finish at Road Atlanta. The only race he hasn't finished on the podium was the first one at Sebring. He had bad luck that day, finishing 14th. But he is right in the thick of this points battle for sure. But you can't talk TA2 without talking about Elio Meza, this phenomenal young driver, Alessandros Racing. Winning his first 5 starts in a TA2 car, winning at COTA at the end of last season in his first ever start, and then won 4 in a row to start off this season. And his only hiccup so far has been at Lime Rock Park, where he had a tough weekend in the rain, finishing 7th there, but then right back in his winning ways, starting from the pole at Indianapolis last weekend and took the win once again. So he is, if you want to remember a name, that's one to remember, because he's got a bright future ahead of him for sure.
What's weird, John, is it seems like the last 4 to 6 years, we're like, oh, we're never going to see a talent like a Connor Zilic again.
Yeah.
And then the next season it's Brent Cruz. And we're like, well, we're not going to see that for a while. And it's like Sam Corey.
Yeah.
And then it's Elio Meza or Tristan McKee and some of these drivers. And Elio Meza has really been just amazing this year. And he started out at COTA. I didn't know anything about him.
Sure.
And he just led every lap, practice, qualifying, everything.
Yeah.
And then now that I've gotten to know him, just a phenomenal kid. Always comes up to me with a smile. He likes to hang out in the paddock, likes to talk to all the drivers. Nobody can say a bad thing about him other than he's fast.
Yep.
Nobody likes that, of course.
Yep.
And just a great person to have. But I have a great little anecdote story, if you bear with me. We were at Sonoma, and my friend Carlos Gann called me and said, hey, I've never been here. Can you take me out in your rental car? And I said, sure. And he said, do you mind if Bill comes with us? And I said, Bill Elliott? I'm like, I don't mind at all. Yes, let's go out there in my little Kia. And as we're driving through, Elio had told me earlier in the day he's only done Sonoma on the sim. So I saw him, and I said, Elio, jump in the back seat. We'll take you around a little bit.
Right.
And he jumps in the back seat. He looks over, sees this guy. He says, hey, my name's Elio. And he says, I'm Bill. And you could tell Elio's like, I think I should know this guy. But he didn't quite put it together. So I asked, we're driving around in my little Kia, and I said, Bill, you know, you've raced here a lot, different configuration. What was your best finish? And then Elio looks at him and goes, what did you race in? And Bill said, Cup, like that. And I said, Elio, that's Bill Elliott you're talking to. And all of a sudden, he's whipping out his phone. And then I do one lap, and I'm like, you know, Bill, I don't know the racing line like you do, so you take over. But I said, you have to stay under 30. And he doesn't say, okay, he just gives me a thumbs up. We immediately go to 55, 60 miles an hour. And I'm like, you know what, it's okay. If we get in trouble or Bill wrecks my rental car, what a story I would have.
Yeah.
But
Go to the rental car and just say, well, Bill Elliott wrecked my car. Yeah.
But we did about 3-4 laps, and it was so much fun. And I learned a lot there as we see Laney Bice going wide out of the carousel.
Yeah, using some of that grasscrete.
Yeah. That we were talking about. But, you know, now Elio Meza is going to have a great story to tell the rest of his life.
Exactly right.
He learned, and then it was cool. Bill came up to him at the fan walk and said, good luck. And then Elio won that race, and Bill was talking to me about it. He's like, I think I showed him the line, you know?
Obviously it worked,
Yeah. You can see a lot of the teams now working, because a lot of times they're just going out there and maybe, hey, can you make my front end softer or looser? And they're making adjustments as they're going out there. You know, this is just all about the car feel, getting the drivers acquainted.
Getting ready for that qualifying session coming up this afternoon.
Adrian Lostowski, though, already up to 10th. That's not bad. Now 11th, because Noah Harmon took him at 10th. Jace Denmark, 12th place right now.
Jared Odrick, quickest of the Pro-Am drivers, in 13th. Matthew Brabham atop the charts, though. Fastest time of the weekend so far, a 2:09.489 for Brabham. And if memory serves, that is under the lap record. No, not quite, about 0.8 off. But Matt Brabham taking to the TA2 Cup car.
That is impressive.
Elon Day is second, just 21 thousandths behind Brabham. Gian Buffamonte a quarter of a second behind Day. Gavin Gleitzman fourth quickest. Tyler Casera up to fifth. Great job for Tyler in the 90 Nitro Motorsports Camry. Jackson Tovo, Laney Bice, Ethan Tovo, and Seamus McKendry. Noah Harmon rounding out the top 10 with about 10 minutes still remaining in this session. Can't say enough about Ethan Jacobs, the local driver from Oshkosh, making his first start with us. He was in the top 6 in yesterday's testing session. A little deeper in the back in this one. Christina Lamb still fighting with that car a bit. She's about 11 seconds off the pace in that 66 car. So they're chasing a gremlin in that Helium Mobile CDR number 66. I hope they get a chance to get that sorted before qualifying.
She is
for
great
TRB
to have
Autosport
in the series. Love having her. I follow her on social media. Chelsea's out here doing all of her social media content with Christina. And I was at drivers meeting today, and Christina was kind of filming some of the drivers meetings. So you need to follow her, and maybe you'll see some inside, behind the scenes from the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series. We see Jace Denmark go right under the camera. But yeah, there's a few drivers in here that I'm not super familiar with. You were talking about the driver from Oshkosh. There's Joe Federal in the number 2 car from Austin, Texas, and he's doing really well. This is a tough series to just get behind the wheel and like, I'm gonna give this a try. So they're doing very well here.
The top 6 cars in this practice session separated by about 0.9 of a second. The top 7 just under a second separating them. So, you know, when we get into qualifying mode, it will be even closer. Eric Caton and the Skillman Auto Group Mustang rolling down the pit lane out of Greenwood, Indiana, I should say. Stanton Barrett on the pit lane. Noah Harmon's there as well. Again, Cruz making some final adjustments, getting the car tweaked for qualifying coming up later today, as this is their last on-track opportunity.
Elio Meza has only pulled one lap out there as far as what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
Are you seeing
exactly.
the same?
Yeah, he's at the very back. Has only done an installation lap, so
He must have found something, and they're trying to sort it out.
let's see. I think that's him down near the pit exit. Let me get a glass on that.
I'm hearing that we have a slow car in the carousel from Tom. Great shot of the kink right there.
Yep.
And Mission Beach.
Yep. There's the exit of the Kinch down through Kettle Bottoms. The trees on either side of the racetrack.
That is a great place. This top of your screen where those gentlemen are walking. To walk through that path up to the go-kart track, you really see how fast these cars are going.
Oh, yeah.
And you're real close to the track. You can hear everything. You can see there's Sean, Adrian Lostowski's social media person there, taking some photos. And there's Alon Day, currently, I believe, second.
Yep,
right
still
now.
in second spot. Buffamante right behind him. I just saw Matt Brabham pulling away from his pit stall, so he's going to head back out here in the final 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes in the session.
Being a longtime Jeff Brabham fan since I was a kid, and Jeff runs a lot with us in SVRA, it's been really neat to watch Matthew Brabham. And, you know, in my short time knowing Matthew Brabham, I've known him in Indy Lights, Indy Next, those stadium super trucks that are just so cool, Robbie Gordon Series.
Yep.
You know, one of the best, if not the best, TA driver out there.
Yep.
And he can adjust to a car so quickly. And, you know, maybe that's just third generation. You know, Sir Jack Brabham, his grandfather, who is a Formula One champion, and then Jeff Brabham, all those great IMSA championships and that Nissan 300.
Yep.
You know, and now Matt Brabham, and I love seeing that.
I love it when he joins us on the vintage racing weekends and jumps in one of his grandfather's you know, Formula B cars.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just how surreal is that to get to race in a car that your grandfather built.
Yeah.
You know.
And did you know that Jeff Brabham had never raced a Brabham until Ron Hornig offered him a ride in his Brabham?
Yep.
That's neat.
Ron Hornig, the guy who restores those Brabhams for Jeff and himself, and yeah, they are great to see. 5 minutes on the clock here as we're in the closing stages of this one.
Yeah, we had a fight. Tonis Casamets, Jeff Brabham, David Brabham, and Matt Brabham at COTA. That's probably one of the best vintage races I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And man, you're right. Ethan Jacobs, very impressive. Ethan Tovo currently in 8th, Laney Bice 7th, Jackson Tovo 6th. I'm seeing a theme here. Gavin Gleitzman 4th. All of those drivers were at last night's parade, so I think the parade is adding some speed.
Some good luck there.
Yeah.
No question. Joe Federal back in 16th in the number 2 car.
I see Christina coming down pit lane. Man, I really hope she fixes these gremlins. She's got Troy with TRB, very great crew.
Yep.
They're gonna figure this out. Looks like Noah Harmon coming out into the Cube 3, turn 1. This is a deceptively difficult corner, turn 3, downhill, hard right, and if you get this one wrong, it's a long stretch to turn 5. So you really have to hit your marks there, hit your lines, and if you go in with another car and you can't quite hit that apex, that may really cost you coming into Mission Foods Turn 5.
Yeah, all the way down through the Marine Sweep down into Turn 5. It's one of the longest straightaways here. So Turn 3 is hugely important. Turn 14, the final turn on the racetrack, which leads onto the front straightaway, is important. I mean, that's the adage at any race course. The most important turn is the one leading onto the longest straightaway, because if you get it even a little bit wrong, you really pay the penalty by the time you get down to the other end.
And you can see the line that IndyCar left here last weekend. They had 110,000 people out here. Great race. We were actually communicating with Doug Bowles last weekend while he was here at the race. But you can see that line, and you can see that's pretty much the line for all the other cars here. As we see Michael LaPaglia coming into view, running our Pro-Am, but he was the 2024 Western champion.
Yep.
With Papini's Garage and LaPaglia racing. You see Lainey Bice, I can't tell if she's on an out lap or an in lap, but she's going quite a bit slower.
Yeah, she pulled aside to let him go by, to let LaPaglia get by her. Out of Murrieta, California is LaPaglia.
And John, I really feel like the more I get to know Lainey Bice, she's going to be another one of those drivers that 5-6 years from now, we're going to be bragging to our friends that we knew her once.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Doug Winston with TradeMentor.org coming through Canada Corner. And I think it's called Canada Corner because it's the closest corner to Canada. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's many conflicting stories. I could see Eric Miller.
We got to get Eric in on this because we need our track expert. And ladies and gentlemen, you're about to hear a sexy voice too. I just want to add that in.
With a face made for radio.
Exactly.
But no, so the actual answer is that in that corner, back in the 50s, Boy Scout troops used to clean up after the race weekends, and they would find Molson, Labatt's, all the Canadian beer tops.
And that's against the law here in the Milwaukee area.
Well, right,
Yeah.
but so that's hence the nickname.
That's why they call it.
You're not wrong. It is the furthest north corner, but the actual answer is the fans that particularly gathered there were very particular to the suds from north of the border.
I like that.
That's the official answer.
That's the official
a great answer. See, I love these the folklore. There, Tim Carroll coming through, setting up for the carousel. And the carousel, one of the most difficult corners to get right because you're just feeling that left front tire, and you're just right on that edge of balance. If you go too slow, you're going to lose a lot of time. If you go too fast, you're going to be in the gravel, and you're just trying to find that edge. But what happens is every lap after this 4.5-mile lap, the tire wear, every time you go through the carousel, it feels a little bit different. If we see Matt Gray hanging it up there through Canada Corner.
Yep.
We see a local yellow there as Caitlin pans over left, and there it was, Matt Gray left there. You could see him just losing his grip in the rear end there as he came through.
Yep. There's Matt.
With Ryan Builders.
Might be high centered on the curbing there, or he's just waiting on a point. Checkered flag coming out right now. Matthew Brabham will get the quickest time of the session, but not by much. 21 thousandths of a second separating Matt from Elon Day at the top of the order. John Bufamonte third quick. Evan Gleitzman fourth. Tyler Casera fifth. Jackson Tovo sixth. Laney Bice in seventh spot. Ethan Tovo eighth. Seamus McKendry ninth, and Noah Harmon rounding out the top 10. Elio Mesa only turned a single lap and does not have a time in this session. Christina Lamb just in front of him, so her problems continue in that number 66 Helium Mobile machine. So I hope Christina can get her problem solved, and I hope Elio just took the session off because he's confident that he's got what he needs for qualifying. I hope that doesn't indicate they've got a problem in that Scott Legacy Racing, Alessandro Racing, number 28.
I went by their garage today, and Elio Mesa's dad was having what looked like delicious blueberry pancakes from their person on their crew, and everybody was having a great breakfast. Nothing looked stressful.
Yeah.
So he might have found something as he fired up, or some kind of gremlin. They might be chasing some. It's not like them not to go out.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm thinking that they've just found something pretty minor, and they're going to fix it.
In our Pro-Am championships, Michael Lapaglia with the quickest time in Pro-Am in 18th position. And then scanning down the order, Tim Carroll, second fastest. Keith Prochuk, the points leader, is third amongst the Pro-Am drivers. Cale Phillips in fourth, and Doug Winston, who we just saw, rounding out the top five in Pro-Am. J.C. Monet and Roberto Sabato, Jim Gallagher, Matt Gray rounding out the Pro-Am field. And we talked about Christina Lamb and her troubles in that 66 car. Our first race of the morning about to get underway as International GT Sprint Race number 2 is next on the agenda, coming up in just about 10 minutes time. Again, that's a call to the grid, 10-minute call to the grid for International GT. This is a 10-minute call to the grid for International GT. Ticers Live provides specialized insurance solutions for the global entertainment and sport industries. They support over 250 annual grassroots and professional racing events. Ticers Live, the official insurance broker and risk management company of Racing America. When it comes to race day performance, safety, and reliability, Furia Corsa has you covered. Professional preparation keeps you safe, engineering keeps you up front, and quality support keeps you on the track. For more information, go to furiacorsa.com, the authorized prep service company for SVRA and International GT. Think like an athlete. Drink your weeds. Jim Weed is an athletic focus drink with adaptogens and caffeine that make your body believe it can do anything. Sip on some before you smash your goals. Jim Weed, the official energy drink of SVRA and Trans Am.
Road America would like to recognize our 2026 season corporate partners, our landmark partners, Sargento, Motul, Corvette, Mission, Palermo's Pizza, Briggs & Stratton, Brown County, Austin, Strobelfield, TireRack.com, WeatherTech, and C-Tech Cabinets. Our entitlement sponsors Expel, West Bend Insurance, Bank First, Bring a Trailer, and Kohler Credit Union. Our food and beverage partners, Mission Foods Tortillas and Chips, Sargento Cheese, Cedar Crest Ice Cream, Lakeside Pepsi, Torquay Coffee, Carbless Cocktails, Molson Coors, Pritzloff Wholesale Meats, and Plank Road Distillery. Our fire and safety sponsors, Jefferson Safety, AMR, Crete Trucks, Bobcat Plus, Wheelan Engineering, Safety Clean, and Soundhouse Hearing Protection. Our partner organizations, Quick Trip, Spark Ops Fabricators, Wisconsin Lighting Lab, Sign Me Up, Skag Power Equipment, Yamaha, H&R Springs, Jim's Golf Cars, Mulch Express of Wisconsin, Catalyst Exhibits, Sheboygan Chevrolet, Third Coast IT, Eden Valder Stone, Clean Tools, Collins Classic Automobiles, The Walbeck Group, Speed Seat, Wisconsin Lottery, N-Tech Solutions, Smith Oil, Meekum Auctions, Tietz's Piggly Wiggly, McMahon Engineers and Architects, RaceQuip, CertaPro Painters, and Kunis RV. Don't forget shuttles running throughout the grounds until 5 o'clock this afternoon. Just look for the shuttle flags. They'll be around about every 10 to 15 minutes or so. Paddock Shop open now until 4 p.m. on this Saturday afternoon. And don't forget to visit some of our concession partners throughout the weekend as well. Good way to eat your way around the racetrack on a Saturday and Sunday. We've got International GT on the way next from America's National Park of Speed.
James Rogerson has the Ray Skillman Auto Group Ford Mustang safety car in the pit lane as he pulls away from the grid. That means the cars are not far behind, as we've got 19 cars on the starting grid. Let's introduce them to you. I like to go from back to front just because I do. And alone in row number 10 is the number 30 of Richard Grant in his 4-liter Cayman. In row 9, the 03 of Yusef Nabi in the Ferrari F488. He's vying for the Maranello Cup this year. Next to him is the 55 of Thomas Bogoni and another of the Caymans for the Stuttgart Cup. One of 2 GTX cars, exhibition cars in the field, is the 67 of Robert Garza in his 2018 Audi R8. Next to him is the 641 of Kurt Kropp, who is the points leader in the Cayman class. In row 7, the 109 of Ryan Sagowski in his 3.8-liter Cayman. Next to him, the 9 of Ryan Camp in a 4-liter Cayman. Row 6 has the 24 of Joseph Rizzo in a 4-liter Cayman, and the 216 of Nicholas Groombridge in a GT992. Coleman Hall is outside of row 5 in the number 79 Cayman, and Robert G in the number 819 Cayman. Mustafa Bakir in the 06 GT992, and Cliff Kayer in the 08 GT992. Juan Gonzalez, the scion of the Mission Foods organization, the 81 GT 4.R. It's actually a GT2 car for Juan. The 210 is Matthew Cohn and a GT 4.R. Row 2 has the 058 of William Oliver in his GT992 and Michael Merritt in the 899 GT 4.R. And on the front row, the 008
Wait, hold on, John. Michael Merritt just pulled off.
Whoa.
He just pulled off at turn 3. He had his flashers on, and he pulled off at this little track right here. Not sure what's happened to Michael Merritt. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no,
right when you were
good.
saying it, he just pulled off under the trees.
Well, that's certainly not a good sign. Reg Williams in the 008 GT 4.R, and the other GTX car, the exhibition car in the field, is Charles Wicht. He starts on the pole in that 2020 Bentley GT3.
Not sure what happened to Michael Merritt.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can get it back up and running and go out there. He is last year's Mission Foods GT3 Cup Trophy champion.
Yeah.
As we see Juan Gonzalez from Mission Foods go through Mission Foods, turn 5. There's Bob Gee and Coleman right behind him. We had a fantastic race here. And I asked Julie Bentley, our series director, this morning, not only did we go green to checker, not even one local yellow during the race. And we had some great racing, some great wheel-to-wheel racing throughout the field.
Yeah,
so I love seeing that.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see more of the same here today. We mentioned Kurt Kropp is the points leader in the Stuttgart Cup for the Cayman class cars. Of the drivers here this weekend, Joseph Rizzo is second. He's fourth on the points table, but Zach Bradford and Jeff Offerbach not racing with us here this weekend. Rizzo in the number 24, and then Coleman Hall down in 10th is the third highest placed driver vying for the Stuttgart Cup for the Cayman class cars. Then the Mission Foods GT3 Cup Championship, Matt Cohn is the points leader coming into this weekend's racing in the off-leash motorsports machine. Cliff Kayer, second of the drivers present. Mustafa Bakir in third spot in the 06. And let's see, for the Maranello Cup, we had 2 Ferraris on the entry list, Yusef Nabi in the number 03 and Radu Montien in the 270, as those 2 Gotham Motorsports teammates, but we haven't seen Radu since the testing. So
they had some, I think, transmission issues, but Yusef Nabi, who was just in the scene there in that Ferrari right behind the Audi, last year's Maranello Cup champion.
Yep. And he and Montien are tied for the Maranello Cup lead right now. They both have 97 points coming into this weekend's racing. But like I say, transmission issues for the 270. So we'll just see Nabi in the number 03 here this weekend.
But Gotham will get that back up and running. Gotham's one of our great international GT teams.
There's a good shot of the number 9 of Ryan Camp in his GT4 RS Club Sport from the Cayman class. There's Juan Gonzalez.
They should do one more pace lap.
Yeah, they do, normally do 2 pace laps. Yeah. So they'll go around one more time.
There's Dr. Reg Williams, then William Oliver, and then Cohn, Juan Gonzalez, and Kayer. That was quite a battle yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
With Merritt being out, William Oliver and Michael Merritt had a great battle, but I'm guessing now William Oliver is going to try to keep Bill Oliver is going to try to keep Juan Gonzalez and Cone behind him. I think it's going to be Cone. I don't think they have anything for Dr. Reg Williams, and he's in a different class, but Dr. Reg Williams is a very good driver, very fast car. He's in a 2017 Porsche GT3 4R. And I'm not sure Reg Williams has anything for that Bentley. And like we talked about yesterday, it's very important because he knows he doesn't have anything for the grunt of that Bentley in a drag race. He will probably in the twisty bits.
Sure.
But what he needs to do is make sure the car behind the Bentley doesn't follow the Bentley through. So he has to play a strategy as they go into Cube 3, Turn 1.
Yep.
And then because it's based on times, Coleman Hall, who won yesterday, is now behind Bob Gee. So it looks like Bob Gee must have had the faster time, which is very impressive.
Indeed. Yeah, these cars are gridded based on the best lap that each turned in the first sprint race yesterday afternoon. Charles Wicht about a second faster than Dr. Reg Williams, so expect the Bentley to be able to motor into the sunset. But I think yesterday it took a while for him to really kind of build up a lead, and so we'll see if he gets a little bigger start today in that big Bentley. It sounds very different from every other car on the grid.
It rattles our booth. I love it. He is running in the GTX class, as is Colin Cohen in the Maserati, who isn't here, and Robert Garza in the 2018 Audi R8 LMS GT4, the number 67, that should be coming into our shot here shortly. At turn 5, it's a silver gray Audi
with a red tail on it, with the green highlights as well. In the
no, there it is, right behind Kirk Kropp in the orange Cayman there.
Yep.
So right in front of Yusuf Nabi.
Yep. We talked about it yesterday. Nabi in the white Ferrari, which is, should be criminally punishable. Ferraris are supposed to be red. Come on.
Well, the Bentley is in British Racing green, and the Audi is in a silver Aero package. So they've got it going on.
They've got it going. So we got to talk to Nabi about that.
Some really cool liveries in International GT, and I don't know if they sent out a memo that the brighter the car, the faster you are. But there's some just really bright cars like we saw last week or Mid-Ohio with like Tom Pank, David Tuwadi.
Yep.
Cone definitely got that memo in that Dayglow green car.
The Panks have that very recognizable livery, the green and blue livery, both Tom and Lucas. Tom had a eventful weekend at Mid-Ohio. I think cut down a tire and got off into the gravel trap at turn 9. And that put paid to his weekend. But he and Lucas drove together in the Enduro, which was always fun to see.
We've got some people joining us in the chat. Emily Oliver says, go William Oliver. Hopefully they're related. Emily, is that husband, dad? How are you related? And Reg was beating the bumper in on the Bentley in the turns, but he can't cover any of it. So, yeah, that's what we're seeing. So keep it coming. Give us some expertise out to these. The lights are out, John.
Coming to the final turn on the racetrack, turn 14, as they begin the long climb up the hill. James Rogerson will duck into the pit lane with the Skillman Mustang safety car. And here they come. Charles Wicht in that number 7 exhibition class Bentley. Reg Williams alongside in the 008. Michael Merritt missing in action from row number 2. As William Oliver right there, and the green flag flies. The Bentley with about a half a car length ahead as they accelerate down toward turn number 1.
3 wide.
Yeah, man. Great drone shots. Thanks again.
Juan Gonzalez took off.
Yeah, he's up to 3rd, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's a great start for Gonzalez. And coming into the pit lane, the 109 of Ryan Sikowski, the driver from just up the road in Kyle, Wisconsin. And trouble for him as he comes into the pit lane after the first lap.
We got to behave because Bill Oliver's wife is watching, and she's sending many hearts. And then Jeff is saying, go Coleman Hall. We've got a bunch of Coleman Hall and Bill Oliver fans out here. Coleman Hall celebrating his 18th birthday yesterday as Cone goes around the outside of Juan Gonzalez here, John.
Gonzalez, what a great start. Started in row 3, and he's up to second right now. So Juan showing the muscle of that GT2 car.
And I promise you, Dr. Reg Williams wasn't expecting that. And what a great run from turn 1 to turn 3 for Juan Gonzalez, as we see there. Yusuf Nabi coming through turn 7, but this is shaking out. And Bob Gee looking on the inside of 8.
Yeah.
Oh, that was scary.
First lap, everybody's a little still sorting themselves out, still side by side through the carousel turn, and that's tough to do. That's a one-line turn for sure. I mean, I say one line. You can see everybody taking a little different approach about how far off the apex they come through that turn. But out of the carousel under the Mission Foods Bridge, the beach off to the right-hand side of this shot, and then through the legendary kink and into Kettle Bottoms. Down into Canada Corner. Look for all the Canadian beer tabs there. And Juan Gonzalez coming under pressure from Dr. Williams. It looks like he's maybe made that pass. And going wide, the 06 of Mustafa Bakir. He was involved in that great battle all race long yesterday as well. Faded to 8th at the end of the day.
On the podium with Matrix, and it's Bill Oliver also around Juan Gonzalez, as is Dr. Reg Williams. Not sure what happened to Juan Gonzalez there, but Cone, and then we have somebody off there at turn 14 as Bob E is getting passed by one of the Mission Foods GT3 Cup trophy cars, which he should be.
Sure.
I kind of felt like, you know how they'd say that honeybees shouldn't be able to fly, but nobody told them? It's like nobody told Bob Gee those Caymans shouldn't be able to keep up with those cars.
Yeah. Yeah, the Mission Foods GT3 Cup cars, in theory, should be the faster of the two. Down into turn 3, this great drone shot.
Not sure if that car is going to be able to get out of the gravel. I'm getting a thumbs up from Tom, though. I think he did. A little off-roading here.
Yep. He didn't get all the way to the gravel trap. Looked like he was just in the grass between the outside of the racetrack. So Dr. Wick out in front.
Yeah,
Charles
Reg Williams. And Reg Williams out-braking him. You know, so let's see what happens here with that Bentley.
As he said, you know, riding the bumper through the twisty parts, but the Bentley's got the grunt coming off of these corners.
Neil Parsons is saying Reg will get him back. He's the most patient driver. I'd agree with that. Reg Williams, a very good driver. Very, very fast at VIR, which I think he considers his home track. And then Cone in a battle. Cone was not happy with his performance yesterday. Now in a battle with Cliff Kayers, we see Coleman Hall and Bob Gee. We've got a great battle in the Caymans and in the Mission Foods.
Those are the two leaders in the Stuttgart Cup battle here. Gee in front of Coleman Hall as they go side by side. Nick Groombridge stepping up into the GT992 class for this weekend in the number 216. That's a new car to him.
Love seeing him back with International GT. Longtime competitor. There's that Audi and Yusuf Nabi. There's Kurt Kropp. And there was the car that was off at 14. I don't know who that is just yet.
Might be Sikowski in the 109.
Oh, nice. Sikowski.
Yeah, the local driver from just up the road in Kyle, Wisconsin. You'd think he would know better. He's probably raced here quite a bit.
Yeah. Maybe he saw something, though.
Yeah, could be.
Maybe it was an evasive move. I just saw him go off. I didn't see what led up to it. But there's Kurt Kropp in the Stuttgart Cup orange car with the lion on the hood.
William Oliver just set the fast lap of the race from third in the 058. Reg Williams still running in second. Wicked in the Bentley out in front. And then Juan Gonzalez in that fourth spot. Matthew Cone just behind him. Cliff Kayer, Coleman Hall now leading the Cayman class. Robert Gee coming with him. They're up to 7th and 8th overall. And then Groombridge back to 9th. Joe Rizzo rounding out the top 10.
Rizzo, was that the girl's name in Greece?
Yeah, I think.
Surely Emily Oliver will know the answer to that. As they come under the Sargento Bridge, this long straight. Look at Reg out braking Charles Wicht in that big Bentley.
Yep, that Bentley's a lot heavier than the Porsche, and I'm guessing it takes a little more retardation to get that car down to cornering speed.
Okay,
it's
Reg.
Bigger and heavier.
And then William Oliver right behind them, just watching this in the front there with Matrix Motorsports out of the VIR area.
Top 3, just about equally spaced, actually, and then a little gap back to Juan Gonzalez.
And then Cone and Cliff K are coming into 8 with a big battle.
That's for 5th and 6th. And then right behind them are the 2 Caymans of Coleman Hall and Robert Gee.
Getting some great drone shots in this International GT Race 2 of the weekend.
Exactly.
And we have our Enduro coming up later on this afternoon as well.
Same drivers. There'll be some co-drivers involved. Driver changes are not required, but are optional. And Julie sent us the list of the co-drivers yesterday, so we'll be able to keep track of who's in what car. The driver who is the owner of the car is required to start the race, and then the co-driver can come in. If the owner wants to score points, he has to complete 30 minutes of the race distance, including the pit stop. So those with co-drivers will often wait until after that 30-minute mark to make their driver change.
Well, I'm hearing from Emily that, yes, it is Rizzo in Greece. Emily, give us a fun fact about Bill Oliver, our driver out there that's currently in 3rd. And I'm hearing that Garza's live stream is great as well. So Garza might be live streaming from inside his car.
Awesome.
So send us a link to that YouTube address as well so people can follow along with that too.
Garza in the Audi up to 13th right now in that number 67.
Coming to Q3 turn 1. Now Garage Living entrance of turn 3. And it looks like Coleman Hall pulling away a little bit from Bob Gee with Nicholas Groombridge right behind him.
Gee with that black and yellow paint job.
Can Cliff Kayer give anything to Cone here as they come into Mission Foods turn 5?
I stand corrected. Gee, of course, with the green, red, and white paint job. Groombridge has the black and yellow paint scheme on the number 216.
Cliff Kayer wants to make a move, but not finding a place yet. He's waiting for Cone to do something. There he goes. He just did it right there between 5 and 6.
Yeah, Cone
unbelievable.
Cone went a little wide at the exit of turn 5, and that gave him the opening in the uphill run up under the Corvette bridge.
And there's Bill Oliver.
This battle at the front is a dandy. I mean, Reg Williams right on the back bumper of Charles Wicht. He is not getting away as he did yesterday.
And I think Charles Wicht is probably a little bit frustrated with that. He'd probably like to put more than a little bit more than a second between them, because where Charles Wicht is really good, Reg isn't, and vice versa. Reg is very good in the braking and the turning, much more nimble car. Oh, but look at this, Bill Oliver looking on the inside.
Yeah, just showing him the fender, letting him know that he's there.
So if you watch, Reg Williams has it up until the exit of 14. He has the advantage, and then Wick can just use that grunt down the straightaway, but he's got to get a good exit out of 14. And Juan Gonzalez just kind of happily in the mill, letting this thing play out. But watch out for Juan Gonzalez. That was a great start for Juan.
Up to 2nd, man. That was fantastic start from row 3.
Oh, we have a Cliff Kayer, M3 Brittany saying, go Cliff, with a checkered flag emoji.
How about this shot, man, from the drone right down at ground level?
Is that the drone?
Yes, sir.
That's amazing.
That's a fantastic shot. Great speed shot. Right at the old, the cutout for the old winter circle there. It used to be on the outside of the track.
All right, so Wicht coming into 3 with Bill Oliver right behind Dr. Reg Williams, then Juan Gonzalez, Cliff Kayer, and Matthew Cone. As they come under the Sargento Bridge, just another fantastic international GT race here at Road America.
So far, green to green, we haven't had any issues. Touch wood that we keep it that way.
Oh, I'm getting some great information here from Emily Oliver. Fun fact, she says, the love of his life besides me is a teeny baby dog, Annie. Tough exterior, mushy heart.
Aww.
I love that. Well, who doesn't love a dog named Annie?
How cool is that?
I've loved having Bill Oliver in the paddock, and all of the Matrix crew. Just fantastic. You got to keep up with their social media. But right now, Bill Oliver at the front end of the Matrix crew, because there's also, any kind of teams, they compete with each other.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
With Reg Williams right in front of them. So Reg Williams and all the Matrix crew out of the VIR area, with Charles Wick trying to get around this carousel section, trying to get through Canada Corner and trying to use the grunt of that English Bentley.
Big 4-liter V8 twin turbocharged, makes north of 500 horsepower. but these Porsches are pretty potent as well. Wedge Williams setting fast lap of the race on the last lap. A 2:14.5. As they're coming out of Canada Corner up into Thunder Valley.
You could see Charles Wick having to hit the brakes a little bit, just hitting the brakes, but Reg and Bill Oliver did not.
Yep.
So like I said, where the Porsches are good, the Bentley isn't. Where the Bentley's good, the Porsche isn't. So this is going to be a really fun thing to shake out. As you can see, Reg Williams flashing his lights, just trying to do anything to get Charles to look in his mirror.
Cliff Kayer pulling away from Matthew Cohn after Cohn lost that position at the end of the straightaway, and now Kayer is the fastest car on the racetrack.
Wow.
As he sets the fast lap, as he's closing down on Juan Gonzalez.
That'll make M3 Brittany happy. Now these great shots here. Watch the braking. Charles Wick in the heavier car. You can see how much later Reg and Bill Oliver are able to get in there. And Emily, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were telling me to call him Bill Oliver. And then I'm hearing from DeHone Watkins, Matrix Motorsports, Team Bullies, it says. I'm not sure what that means, but, you put it in, I'll read it out. Yeah. Nicholas Groombridge falling back a little bit, and now Cliff Kayer coming up on Juan Gonzalez.
Fastest car on the track, and then there's the battle for the Caymans just behind Coleman Hall and Robert Gee. Separated by about 3 seconds at the line last time. Coleman Hall was only 0.8 of a second behind Matthew Cohn at the stripe.
Coleman Hall was at the parade last night, as were Bob Gee's cars. Great to see them out there. The Extreme Velocity cars. I hung out with Derek a little bit last night. It was a lot of fun, but look at this. Cliff Kayer just slowly closing in on Juan Gonzalez as Coleman Hall is up on Matthew Cohn.
Yep. Cohn running in the 6th spot, Hall in 7th, and Gee in the other Cayman just a little further back.
I'm hoping Caitlin can give us a shot out of Canada Corner, that uphill right-left. We'll see if Charles Wick has to feather his brakes a little bit, and we'll see if Bill and Reg hit the brakes as well. But I noticed that last time, and you can kind of see the differences here. See if he feathers the brakes. Not sure if we could see it in that one. But ooh, look at this. Cliff Kayer right behind Juan Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Might be trying to make a pass here.
Gonzalez feeling the pressure. He's going to try to up the ante just a bit if he can. But Kayer's the fastest car on the track.
And watch that Bentley now pull away.
And Williams flashing his headlights.
Mm-hmm. But then you'll see Reg Williams, he's just more power, more grunt, more torque. But the Porsche with the nimble is able to just kind of get right back up to him, coming through Cube 3, Turn 1, with Bill Oliver right behind him and Kayer all over Juan Gonzalez's mirrors.
I thought he might pop out there Turn 1, but he decided to fall back in single file.
I'm hearing from race control from Stan that one of the car's driver's front left fender is becoming loose. I'm not sure which car. I'm hearing that it's the 81 of Juan Gonzalez, possibly.
Okay.
Got a great story there. He's 81 because he always hears A1, and he's 81. Or he could be the 01 for O1.
Yeah.
But I love that story. Juan Gonzalez, one of my favorite people in the paddock, just a great sense of humor, absolutely loves this, has his driving partner Butch Leitzinger here, and his great staff, Leo Austin. They're here all the time, and just the paddock is a better place to be when Juan is around. He just loves to have fun.
Yep.
But Cliff Kayer is going to make a look here at 8, I think.
Yep. Kayer looking for an option here, but stays single file as they exit turn 8. A little wider is Kayer as they come into the carousel. Let's see how the racing lines are a little different as we go back to our top trio.
Uh-oh, Cliff. I think Cliff's going to try to make a run at Canada Corner.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Juan's got a little bit more grunt there.
He does,
Kettle
yeah.
Bottoms.
That GT2 car's got a little more horsepower, I'm guessing. So that gives him the advantage. Down into Canada. For our top 3, here comes that battle. Oh, there goes Kayer down to the inside at Canada Corner. But Gonzalez saws the nose off Kayer's car. Says, no, thank you. I'm going to keep this position if you don't mind.
Emily says it is Bill, and she's rooting for Cliff, too. Cliff with Matrix Motorsports, so she's rooting for the teammates. Way to go there. Team spirit from Emily.
That's it.
Coleman Hall right behind Cone.
What a great job for Coleman,
Yeah.
man, in that Cayman.
I interviewed I interviewed Matthew Cone out of his car, and he was disappointed by a mistake he made, and I think he might be a little bit disappointed in this performance as well. He'd like to be up there with Cliff and Juan.
Yeah. Coleman moving over to Charles Wicht Racing. He's a teammate with our leader, Charles Wicht. Got that note from Julie for the team change for Coleman Hall's
I like
number
that.
79.
Julie Bentley, the director of International GT, when Ken Fangler stepped away. Ken Fangler really grew this thing to be a phenomenal series, and Julie was right there with him.
Yep.
So it couldn't happen to a better person. And everybody in the International GT paddock absolutely loves Julie Bentley, and she has done a fantastic job. And man, she worked so hard in the offseason, visiting all the teams and the garages, and we're seeing the fruits of her labor right now.
Yep.
Here we go. Look at that. Bill Oliver right behind Reg Williams.
Yeah.
Come on, Emily. You better be shouting in all caps now. And look at this, Cliff Kayer still behind Juan Gonzalez. Juan Gonzalez really knows where to put that car on the track to make that car very difficult to pass, as Cliff Kayer can probably attest to now.
Matthew Cone kind of solidifying his hold on that 6th spot. Like you said, I think he's probably a little disappointed he's not right up in the thick of this lead battle.
So there's that shot. See, Wicht hitting the brakes for probably a good 50, 70 feet, and these two Porsches not having to use their brakes on the gas.
Yeah.
So that brings them 2, and now he's hard on the loud pedal, and he's about to shake our booth here as you see Reg flashing the lights. And he's able to get a big gap into about the 5 marker into 1, but then they're able to close that back up with those lighter Porsches.
Yep. Well, the Porsches have the advantage with the engine in the rear, of course. Just think about it. I mean, the weight transfer obviously is in the Porsche's favor. They've always been good on the brakes.
Look at Bill Oliver now with Reg Williams. And you're right. It looks like Charles Wicht is maybe pulling out a little bit.
Starting to eke out a little bit of an advantage, yeah. But this battle between Gonzalez and Kayer is a dandy. Maybe the best one on the racetrack right now. But here comes the Cayman of Coleman Hall, man, closing up on Matthew Cone. Looked like Cone had a comfortable gap a couple laps ago, but now the Cayman is coming to life.
Oh, Reg Williams going a little bit too deep there and bouncing around on those dragon's teeth as he looks inside, does Bill Oliver, but just thinks better of it, which we appreciate. But he's letting Reg Williams know, hey, I'm still here.
Charles Wicht just set the fastest lap of the race, a 2:12.9, so.
I mean, he's right there with TA2 times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. TA2 lap record, a 2:09 and some change, and he's just a couple seconds off that. But, yeah, beginning to eke out a bit of an advantage. So now it's down to Williams and Oliver to battle it out for first in class. Again, Kayer is not racing, or Wicht is not racing for points because he's in the exhibition class.
GTX class. I like that. I like that name, the GTX class. Yeah.
Right. GT Exhibition.
Here we go. Come on, let's see what you got here, guys. I think he's going to hit the white flag this time by. I think Charles Wicht will be happy to see that white flag.
Yeah, exactly. Now that he's got a little breathing room, he doesn't want to risk it going one more lap.
Emily says she's holding her breath, but he loves his racing.
Starter with the white flag in hand.
See, don't you like this commentary interaction here?
Absolutely,
I like
man.
this.
Absolutely.
There's that white flag from the great marshals and safety crew here at Road America. I love that the 07 is painted on the grill just like it was 100 years ago on Bentleys.
Yep,
you know,
exactly.
I like when they do that. The new Bugattis still have that like tombstone shape on their grill. You know, just kind of harkens back to the old days from 100 years ago at Grand Prix racing.
Yep.
And you know I love my British cars. Bill Oliver right behind Reg Williams. And Reg went a little bit wide into 5. Let's see if he makes a little bit more of a tidy turn here.
Yeah, he's right out doing the regular racing line. I think he's comfortable with that 3 or 4 car length advantage he's got right now. But Bill Oliver is maybe holding a little in reserve for this final lap blast. Maybe picking a spot where he's a little stronger as they come out of 6 into turn 7 and then into hurry downs down toward turn 8.
And this is for the overall win, but I think these 3 cars are in 3 different classes.
Yeah,
so Bill Oliver should be the leader of his class.
Yeah, Reg Williams in the GT4R class, Oliver in the GT992 class. Juan Gonzalez second in GT4R, Cliff Kayer second in 992. Yeah, we're kind of going every other one. It's Williams and Oliver in 2 separate classes, Gonzalez and Kayer in 2 separate classes, Matthew Cohn, and then the first of the Caymans.
I'm hearing that everyone's lucky that Garza wasn't so close that they weren't distracted by his good looks. I would agree with that. Oh, there he is. There's Garza.
And there's Garza. He's pulled off there at Canada.
And he shouldn't be getting out.
Yeah, driver's door open.
Maybe he's just fanning himself.
Yeah, maybe he's just giving himself a little cool air there.
Well, that's our first local yellow in 2 international GT races.
Boy, and that's unheard of.
Yeah. Here we go. Oh, come on, Bill. You might get a drag race up to the finish line.
Yeah, there you go. Road America is famous for its close finishes here, as this final draft up to the start-finish line usually allows for some side-by-side racing, but going to be line astern as Wick takes the win. Williams in second, Oliver in third.
Oh, Cliff might be able to do it. I don't think so, though.
Yeah, he's going after Gonzalez, but I think he's got the straight line speed to hold him off. Gonzalez could finish as 4th, Cliff Kayer in 5th.
But Cliff will be second in his class.
Matthew Cohn in the first of the Caymans of Coleman Hall across the line in 7th spot. There's Robert Gee in the pizza-colored number 819. Nick Groombridge should be next in the order, but he was a bit further back. Here's Groombridge across the line. Joseph Rizzo rounding out the top 10. Mustafa Bakir, who was right in the thick of the battle yesterday, finished in 8th spot. He's back in 11th here, so he's lost a couple pieces. There he is across the line. Ryan Camp in that blue and green number 9 should be next across. There he is. Kurt Kropp in the 641 Cayman. He is the points leader in the Stuttgart Cup. Finds himself back in 13th position in front of Youssef Nabi in the Ferrari.
Here it comes. There's Youssef.
And he's got company. Youssef right behind him is Ryan Sigalski in the 109 Cayman.
Eric Whitnable at the podium said it's like Chicago with a ski.
Yeah.
Chikowski. I like that. It's a good way to remember it.
There you go.
And then I'm hearing that Wicht from Kyle on YouTube is saying Wicht is usually in a Porsche. Surprised to see him in a Bentley. I was surprised to see him in a Bentley, but I know him in a Callaway. He's been running a Callaway with us the last couple of years.
Yep.
Great run by Youssef Nabi, last year's Maranello Cup champion.
Chikowski right behind him, just about a second back. Richard Grant, the last car running in the number 30.
Chikowski sounds like what I say when I stub my toe. Oh, Chikowski.
Oh, that's great stuff.
Well, man, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much, Road America and Racing America, for putting on these live streams with International GT. International GT has a growing fan base, as we see from our comment section. Usually some of the best racing of the weekend, so absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys so much for doing this. Caitlin, Tom, Eric, thank you. This has been really fun. And we've got more International GT racing this afternoon as we see Garza there on the side of the road. I'm looking to see when our Enduro is.
3:20 this afternoon.
3:20 Central Standard Time.
For the 1-hour Enduro with a mandatory 5-minute pit stop. Ben, thanks for joining us in the commentary booth. We'll see you again this afternoon for TA Sprint qualifying coming up at 12:30, and then Trans Am and GT qualifying at 1:50, followed immediately by Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series qualifying at 2:35, and then the International GT Enduro at 3:20. Ben will be joining us on the commentary for that, but he's got to make his way down to the podium to help celebrate the podium with our international GT field. Last session before lunch is qualifying for our FRP Formula Atlantic and Formula 2000s coming up at the top of the hour, just about 5 minutes from now. Racing America is proudly sponsored by Hagerty, the world's largest membership, insurance, and media organization for people who love cars. For more information, go to Hagerty.com, the official insurance partner of Racing America. Hoosier tires are the choice for many SVRA racers. Hoosier's 1,000-plus tire types meet most of an SVRA racer's needs. Go to HoosierTire.com for more information. Hoosier Racing Tire, the official racing tire of SVRA, and this weekend from Formula Race Promotions, the sanctioning body for our formula classes here this weekend. Finally, JM Environmental, the hazardous material abatement company of SVRA and Trans Am. It's a recognized leader in hazardous materials abatement and owned by racer John Moore. JM Environmental is a proud supporter of SVRA for the 2026 season. For more information, please visit jmenvironmental.net, and we'll send our best wishes out to John Moore, recovering from an aircraft accident. Hope you're feeling better, John.
There's nothing good about a dirty car. Whether you drive a race car, sports car, or any car, the fastest way to clean and wax any car is to use the Glosser microfiber towels. The Glosser is available everywhere better car care products are sold, including right here at Road America in the Paddock Shop. If you have no time to wash, then gloss. C-Tech Manufacturing is a premium aluminum card cabinet and drawer manufacturer. Competition at the racetrack has pushed C-Tech storage products to outperform the competition in efficiency, appearance, and functionality. Driven by passion and storage expertise, C-Tech's products have expanded outside of racing to serve many other industries. Whether it's at the track, in the garage, or at your place of business, take your storage to the next level with a custom storage card cabinet or drawer from C-Tech Manufacturing. Safety Clean, a Clean Harbors company, is the official fluid recycling service company of Road America. Safety Clean provides automotive fluid recycling services for the competitors racing here at the track. Safety Clean is the largest refiner of used oil, antifreeze, and cleaning solutions worldwide, and Safety Clean encourages all race fans to do your part to properly dispose of your used automotive fluids. Safety Clean, a Clean Harbors company. Help make green work. Race fans, you know it's important to keep your car looking great, so why not treat your residential or commercial buildings the same? Eden Valder Stone offers a full line of building and landscaping stones that really help polish up your place. Whether you're restoring your landscape or starting from scratch, turn to the experts at Eden Valder Stone. It's the preferred stone of Road America and the ideal choice for your next project. Jim's Golf Cars, sales, service, and rentals. If you're looking for a new or used golf car for your campground, do you need a fleet of cars for your golf course? Have an upcoming event with transportation needs? Or just looking for a cool car to get you around town? Call Jim's Golf Cars. They have it all. Check out the inventory available at jimsgolfcars.com or stop in to see the friendly staff at the Reedsville or De Pere, Wisconsin locations. Daily, weekly, monthly, or seasonal rentals, Jim's Golf Cars is here for you. Ladies and gentlemen, Road America is proud to welcome the newest chapter of Women in Motorsports North America, the WIMNA Elkhart Lake chapter. Since 2022, Road America has proudly partnered with WIMNA through track events and the Women with Drive, driven by Mobile One Summit, helping create opportunities for women and girls across all areas of motorsports. The new Elkhart Lake chapter focuses on networking, mentorship, education, and community building while encouraging the next generation of women in racing and motorsports careers. Please join us in welcoming the WIMNA Elkhart Lake chapter to the Road America family and learn more at womeninmotorsportsna.com.
Here come the cars for our qualifying session for our Formula Race Promotions Formula Atlantics and F2000s. Unlike the F-1600 cars, the Formula Fords that we saw out earlier, these are cars with wings. The Formula Atlantic's broken into two divisions, the 016 class for the Swift 016 Formula Atlantic, which is really the dominant chassis in Formula Atlantic competition and the quickest cars here. And then the open class for a more open group of cars with different specifications. The JDR Formula 1000, Nico Vardis. The Dallara Formula 3 of Alex Lima. That's a new car to him this weekend. J.R. Smart in a slightly older Swift, the 014. James French, local driver, of course, from right here in Sheboygan. Jeffrey Antonelli in a Star Pro Mazda in the Atlantic Open class as well. And then the Formula 2000s, predominantly Van Diemen's, but we've got a Ligier JSF 4 and a Citation in Dave Weitzenoff, the veteran campaigner in the 67 car. Elan DP08 for Robert Wright, so some variation in the F2000s as well. In the F2000 class, in the point standings, Robert Wright is the points leader. Carter Sheets is second in the points. Dave Weitzenoff third in the points for the drivers contesting here this weekend. In the 016 Atlantic class, John McAleer is the points leader. Harbor Doss in second spot. Dudley Fleck in third. Dudley has been quickest all weekend. In the open class, James French is the points leader. Nico Vardis second in the points coming into this weekend. This is the third race meeting for Formula Race Promotions. Road Atlanta was their first, and then Mid-Ohio, their second race meeting. 3 rounds of racing at each stop, and the first of which will be this afternoon, heat race number 1 for these drivers. We'll have TA Sprint qualifying coming up just after the lunch break at 12:30, followed by the F-1600 heat race number 1 at 1:05. Then our 2 qualifying sessions for our Trans Am classes, TA-GT and Cube 3, TA2. And then we'll have the International GT Enduro, and then the race for these drivers, first heat race for the Formula Atlantic and F2000s. And we'll round out the day with the TA Sprint, race number 1 of 2 for the weekend. John McAleer first across the line. We could well see some sub 2-minute times from these Atlantics. The 016s, or Alex Lima in that Dallara Formula 3 car could dip under a 2-minute mark as well. But any of the 016 Atlantics are certainly capable of a sub 2-minute lap here. Harbor Doss coming by in the orange number 06. Harbor races with us in the Formula Regional Americas Championship. A recent graduate at Georgia Tech, got his mechanical engineering degree, and he's going to stay at Georgia Tech and go for his master's. Robert Wright, the F2000 points leader, has not yet come by the stripe. Carter Sheets also. There's Carter just now coming across the line to set off on his first flying lap. John McAleer, a 2:04.532 in the number 68. as this long racetrack spreads the field out, as they should in qualifying, to look for some clear track. Again, with these high downforce cars, they've got to be cautious about the disturbed air coming off the car in front of them. So they like to spread themselves out so they don't lose downforce on the front wing. Dudley Fleck slots into second, J.R. Smart third, and the quickest of the Atlantic Open classes in the early going here. Alex Lima now up into fourth. Ethan Alexander has had kind of a troubled weekend in that number 38 car. It looks like he may have that one working better for him. Dave Weitzenhoff in the yellow Citation comes in after just 2 laps. Robert Wright in the number 90 Elan DPO8 rolling down the pit lane. Just looking for some clear track, I'm guessing. As McAleer is setting the early pace here. In fact, the 3 016 cars are in the top 3 positions. McAleer, Fleck, and Doss in that order. But it's still early days. These Formula Atlantic cars take a while to get the tire temperature up. Takes them a couple laps to get the tires into working temperature before they can really put down a flyer. And James French has not yet made an appearance in this session in the number 46. Swift 014. McAleer resetting fast lap in that number 68, a 2:01.947 for McAleer. He's clear of Dudley Fleck by almost 6 seconds, but like I say, it's still early days. That's only his second flying lap. And there is James French working his way up the hill. Actually, that was Lucas Fink. I'm sorry. They're both black. Lucas Fink in that number 11. Ligier JS F416, first generation F4 car. So still no James French in this qualifying session. Dudley Fleck takes over the top spot, a 2:01.7. McAleer at a 2:01.9, so just about 0.2 of a second separating those two. Alex Lima up to third in that Formula 3 car from the Atlantic Open class, the number 7. Just about 0.2, a second and 0.8 behind McAleer. Harbor Doss only about a half a second behind Lima in the other Atlantic 016. Nico Vardas flashes by in that JDR Formula 1000, second in the Atlantic Opens, with J.R. Smart right behind him in the Swift 014. And the first of the F2000s, Carter Sheets in the 03, 7th overall, with Dave Oddie right behind. In fact, Oddie now takes over that spot as he takes over the top spot in the F2000s. Carter Sheets was quickest yesterday, but he and Oddie separated by just about 0.4 of a second at the end of the practice session. Right now, Oddie over Sheets by less than 0.1 of a second. Carter Sheets retakes the position as they've swapped it back and forth. Ethan Alexander third amongst the F2000s. Lucas Fink, Dave Weitzenhoff again, just a couple laps in this session. Robert Wright, same story. But Dudley Fleck at a 2:01.7. As John McAleer coming into the pit lane in the number 68. So he's going to pull off and see if he can tweak that car to get it a little more to his liking. Alex Lima goes to the top, a 2:01.052 for the number 7, Dallara Formula 3. As he's got about 3/4 of a second in hand over Dudley Fleck in the Swift 016, number 74. McAleer currently in the pit lane. Harbor Doss out there circulating in the 06 in 4th position, third amongst the Atlantic 016 class. J.R. Smart, second in Atlantic Open in the Swift 014, in fifth position in the 09. Then Nico Vardis right behind him by just about a tenth of a second. J.R. Smart, or excuse me, Nico Vardis comes by and retakes the top spot amongst the Atlantic Opens other than Alex Lima. So second in Atlantic Open is Nico Vardis in the 00. '71 of Jeffrey Antonelli in the Star Pro Mazda comes by, just putting the pass on Lucas Fink in the number 11 F2000, the Ligier F4 car. David Oddie and Jeffrey Antonelli coming by side. Oddie in the number 4 Van Diemen, Antonelli in the Star Mazda. Alex Lima flashes by, no improvement for him. Dudley Fleck, though, does get a little quicker and closes to within 0.06 of a second of Alex Lima. So Dudley Fleck, who was fastest in testing yesterday, second quick, but just by a whisker. McAleer has rejoined after a brief call to the pit, so we'll see if McAleer's got any more pace. Harbor Doss comes by. No improvement for him. He'll stay fourth, but he does go a little bit quicker, closes to within 0.3 of John McAleer. McAleer comes by, no improvement for him. Stays in that third spot. Nico Vardis in the 00 goes a little bit quicker in the Atlantic Open leading car. I keep saying that. Alex Lima's in the Atlantic Open leading car. It's so unusual to see that an Atlantic Open car at the top of the order. Normally they're behind the 3 016s, but Lima in that Dallara, showing his heels to the entire field now. Dave Oddie still leading F2000 in that yellow and white number 4. Alex Lima goes even quicker, 2 minutes, 0.691. As he opens up about a 1/10.5 over Dudley Fleck in the 74. There's the 03 of Carter Sheets in his Van Diemen from the F2000 class. Currently second in class to Dave Oddie by about half a second. Harbor Doss moves around John McAleer to move up into second in the Atlantic 16 class. So we've got 3 drivers in the 2 minutes. Lima at a 2 minutes 0.6, Dudley Fleck at a 2 minutes 0.8, Doss at a 2 minutes 0.8. So the top 3 separated by just about 0.2 of a second. McAleer another second behind in the 68. No improvement for Nico Vardis this time in the Formula 1000 00. Still second amongst the Atlantic Open cars. Alex Lima goes marginally quicker, a 2 minutes, .654. So a couple tenths faster than he went a lap ago in that Formula 3 car. Dudley Fleck unable to improve on his 7th lap. So he's now second by about a tenth and a half. Harbor Doss goes to the top. 2 minutes, .480 for Doss in the 06 Atlantic 16 as he flips the tables on Alex Lima and takes a lead by about a tenth and a half. Dudley Fleck another tenth and a half back in third. McAleer now a second and a tenth back in fourth position. Nico Vard is second to Lima in Atlantic Open, still in fifth spot. He's about 3.5 seconds behind. J.R. Smart less than a second behind Vardis, with Jeffrey Antonelli in the Star Mazda about 8 seconds behind Smart. Dave Oddie about a second behind Antonelli in the lead Formula 2000, with Carter Sheets about half a second behind him. Robert Wright another half second behind Sheets. And same story for Ethan Alexander. The F2000's closely packed. Dave Weitzenhoff at the back now, just about a second and 3/10 off Ethan Alexander's time. Alexander comes by, no improvement that time by for the 38. Dudley Fleck looking for a little more pace. He's kind of got caught up in some traffic, so looking for some clear air for the number 74 of Fleck. Alex Lima coming into the pit lane, as we've got about a little under 10 minutes still remaining in the session. No improvement for Harbor Doss on that last lap. J.R. Smart in the Swift, the 09, comes by with an improvement as he gets a little closer to Nico Vardis. Just about 3/4 of a second separating those two. J.R. Smart and David Oddie, the two drivers, the two highest placed drivers to improve their time on the last lap. Smart in the 09, third in the Atlantic Open class. Oddie, the leader in the Formula 1000 class. Robert Wright comes by. He does improve slightly in the number 90 F2000. Wright moves up to second amongst the F2000 cars, slotting Carter Sheets back to third. Harbor Doss knocks off another low 2 minutes lap, a 2 minutes 6, just a couple tenths slower than his fastest lap, a 2 minutes .480. So David Oddie, the F2000 leader. Carter Sheets, second in F2000, and Robert Wright, third in F2000. The only three still improving their lap times in the closing stages of this session. Less than 5 minutes to go. Arbor Doss looking to close down the points championship. He's about 40 points behind John McAleer in the battle for the 016 class championship. And setting off this weekend with a good start to that task. As Dudley Fleck now takes over the top spot. 2 minutes, .216 for the 74. Fleck did not race at Road Atlanta, so he is well back in the points table, but looking to make up some ground here this weekend. Dudley out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Arbor Doss unable to answer as he comes by. About a quarter of a second behind Fleck. Alex Lima in the Dallara rolled down the pit lane just a lap ago. Third, about a tenth and a half behind Doss. And then McAleer, almost a second and some change behind Alex Lima. Dave Oddie brings the number 4 into the pit lane. He is the F2000 leader, 7th overall right now. Robert Wright goes a little quicker, a 2:15.5 for Wright in the number 90. Closes within 0.05 of a second of Carter Sheets in the battle for second in F2000. As of right now, Wright and Sheets would start in row 5 with Wright on the outside. Nico Vardas improves, gets a little faster, a 2:05.4 for the 00 Formula 1000 car. And now Alex Lima takes over the top spot. And he dips into the 159s, a 159.880. And that's fast time of the weekend so far for Alex Lima. It's a new car to him this weekend, and he is putting it to good use. Arbor Doss trying to challenge, sets his best lap of the session, a 2 minutes .072. So about 0.2 of a second separating our top two as the checkered flag is in the air. Jeffrey Antonelli comes by in the Star Mazda and sets his best lap of the session, a 2:14.9. So Alex Lima about half a second quicker than he was able to turn in testing yesterday. Sets the fast time of the session, but we'll see if there's any answer from the other two 016s in the field. Nico Vardas unable to improve. Carter Sheets does in the 03. His last lap was his best at a 2:14.739. Just a couple more cars to cross the line. No improvement for Dudley Fleck as he flashes by in the number 74 Swift. So it looks like Alex Lima will start on the pole in the Atlantic Open, number 7. Harbor Das on the front row in the 06 Atlantic 016. Harbor Das, the last car to see the checkers. No improvement for Harbor on his last lap. Dudley Fleck will start in row number 2 in the 74. John McAleer alongside in the 68. In row 3, Nico Vardas running second in Atlantic Open to our pole sitter. And the 09 of J.R. Smart in his Swift. David Oddie, the pole sitter in F2000, will start inside of row 4 alongside Carter Sheets in the 03. Jeffrey Antonelli in the number 71 Pro Mazda from Atlantic Open will start inside of row 5 with Robert Wright to his outside in the F2000 number 90. Ethan Alexander and Dave Weitzenhoff in row 6. Lucas Fink and James French in row 7. French again did not turn a time in this session. This takes us to the lunch break, as we'll be down on the stream for just about an hour's time as we give our safety workers an opportunity to get a bite to eat. We'll be back with you with TA Sprint qualifying coming up at 12:30, just about an hour from now.